data. Oh, streaming. Yeah, buddy. How y'all doing? Enjoying your life? Doing the right things? I hope. Absolutely. I hope. Which is great. Absolutely. Fantastic. Do we have a good one? Absolutely. Like every single time. All right, so welcome in, legends. The world map looks like a group chat after midnight. Speaking of, let me bring up my chat. There we go. Iran answered. Very cool. Trump said, absolutely not. Okay. Netanyahu jumped into the spotlight. Tankers are moving like chess pieces, and oil prices are doing cardio. Right? You're not here to doom scroll. You are here because you actually think. Hit like, subscribe, become a member. And if your take is nuclear, great, smart, drop a super chat and I'll launch it straight into the situation room. So first up, we have POTUS. What's happening over here?
They're giving a letter supposedly tonight, so we'll see how that goes.
Do you think they're slow rolling it? Do you think they're intentionally slow rolling the process?
We'll find out soon enough.
We'll find out soon enough, says President Trump, telling reporters he expected a response from Iran last night on a proposed peace deal to end the war and, of course, that regime's nuclear program.
It comes after U.S. forces say they launched defensive strikes against Iran after their ships were attacked in the Strait of Hormooz.
So can we expect an update soon? We're going to bring in retired Army Colonel and former CENTCOM Communications Director Joe Buccino. Joe, welcome to the show. Really great news to hear that the president believes we may finally see a peace negotiation, some sort of settlement here between Iran and our country. Do you have an idea of why we haven't heard it yet at 7:30 a.m., or is that pretty normal? We'll get something maybe a little later in the morning.
No, I anticipate we'll get something back today, probably later in the morning, maybe mid-afternoon our time here in the U.S., But, Iran is going to try to delay this as long as they can. And anything they come back with is going to be part of a delay tactic. So, negotiations with Iran are notoriously very difficult. This is always a challenge to go back and forth with Iran. There's a lot of additional challenges and complexities right now because you're dealing with a fragmented leadership between the parliament, the IRGC, and the mullahs. We're not sure who the parliament is communicating with. We're not sure which of the mullahs are alive. And the Ayatollah is underground, and he's only communicating through passing notes. So look, there's a lot of complexity here trying to get this done.
Well, and Joe, that complexity, it appears that you have basically the parliament speaker, Ghalibaf, and the foreign minister, Arachi, that seem to want to get to that negotiation table in good faith, potentially, in Islamabad. But yet you have the IRGC commander right now, Ahmad Vahidi, who has a long history as the first commander of the Quds Force under Mojtaba Khamenei's father, Ali Khamenei, and he is apparently holding out. How do we get a progress in this if he remains holding things up?
Yeah, I mean, that's really one of the critical points here, Griff, is that, you've got real hardliners that have assumed position and assumed power after we killed basically this first two rounds of leaders that we killed early on in this war, February 28th of this year. And, a lot of the hardliners that took over survived the Iran-Iraq war and led forces in the Iran-Iraq war. And the UN brokered peace deal at the end of that war was very humiliating for Iran. And they remember that.
Right.
And they think about that. So, they're really unwilling to take any kind of deal here that would reopen the Strait of Hormuz because they understand the leverage that they've got over the United States, over Europe, and really over the global economy right now.
Colonel, is it possible that we killed hardliners, that we killed moderates, and then the hardliners were left? Is that part of the problem?
That is indeed what happened, Rachel. That is what happened. So we killed a generation of leaders that perhaps could engender a deal with the United States that understood the real economic ruin that they'd be facing.
We got Stitch jumping in on the chat saying, so what you're saying is the women will still be enslaved. What do you think, chat?
If this thing goes into the summer, if this blockade goes into the summer, and you replace them with hardliners who really don't care that much if this thing goes into the summer. And so, you're trying to navigate through those hardliners. You're also trying to navigate through multiple levers of leadership across the three areas of leadership that I mentioned. And you're trying to communicate with people that are not on any kind of communication device, that are afraid to talk on any kind of device that can be tracked. So this is all a very slow process. And then on top of that, you've got Iran. Their traditional position is to delay and try to wait these things out. And right now they're trying to wait out and hold off on any further American military strikes on Iran.
Right.
So this is all taking a long time.
Colonel Pacino, thank you for your time today. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News.
Well, if Iran's not going to negotiate, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Best thing to do is to find a way to negotiate with them. Figure out what they're looking for and figure out a way, because obviously negotiations are not easy, but you got to figure out a way, right? We got Marius Jacobson. If this blockade goes on for a year, USA and Norway will be so rich. It's stupid. Yeah. Norway's got a lot of oil. That's true. Chris Jensen says, all this and no ground operation. Absolute lunacy. What do you suggest? What should they do on the ground? User TT, how you doing, brother? Miss Bits jumping in on the chat saying, curious, why are we watching Fox? What do you prefer? What do you prefer? A little bit of Mbibi, 60 Minutes?
So you can ask me that second time, third time, and I'll dodge it second time, third time. Mm-hmm. Because I'm not going to talk about our military possibilities, plans, or anything of the kind. Mm-hmm. And I think you understand that.
I do understand that. But it's of great concern to the American people and the people of Israel how long this will take, and absent an agreement, what kind of things should they prepare for?
I think the most important thing for people to understand in America and in Israel, I think they do understand it, but for in the world, in Europe, you have to understand.
Sorry. Thank you so much for letting me know I was muted. Appreciate it, buddy.
Iran that declares not merely death to Israel, but death to America. That's what they want to achieve. They don't not only want to kill Americans, which they have, killed and wounded them by the thousands, burned up your embassies, killed your Marines, burned your flags, tried to assassinate the president.
Lava Turtle asks, is he saying we are working for him? That's a good question. What do you think, chat? Are we working for Double B?
The United States and some of your chief officials several times, they're committed to destroy America. They say that, okay? Their commitment involved their plans over the years to build nuclear bombs and the means to deliver them to the United States. They were very close to developing a nuclear bomb, okay? Very close. In fact, if we hadn't done the 2 military operations that we did, they'd have a bomb within now or within a month or two. Now, you don't want a fanatic regime like that hates America, that has no compunction of murdering its own citizen, murdering and wounding tens of thousands of its own citizens. You don't want them to have nuclear weapons. That's what prompted President Trump and me to go out and stop them, prevent them from.
On the chat saying he has lost a lot of weight. There you go. What do you think, Chad? Has he lost a lot of weight? Is he doing okay? He was just in the hospital for a while, wasn't he?
A terrifically important mission, because you don't want Iran to have ballistic missiles to reach any city in the United States with nuclear warheads, because no American would be safe. And I think President Trump understood that from the start. I know that he understood that from years of discussion with this. You know, I came to the United States.
Jamezito saying Americans should stop paying tax towards Israel when Israel doesn't give a S hit about USA. Israel is playing US like a fiddle. Do you guys agree with that? Do you think that's accurate?
States in 2016, right before the elections. Because I made it a habit to meet with the candidates of both parties, either in America or here. So I go to 2016, it's right before the elections, and I meet with Hillary Clinton, and then I meet with Donald Trump in New York. The first thing he says to me in Trump Tower is, we can't let Iran have nuclear weapons. I'm going to walk out of that terrible Iran deal. Jump forward 8 years later, there's another election. I meet President Biden and Kamala Harris in Washington, and then I go and meet Donald Trump in Mar-a-Lago. And the first thing he says to me, even before I sit down, he says, you know, Bibi, we cannot let Iran have nuclear weapons. I'm not going to let it happen. So he's infused with this mission.
What do you think changed from the first term to the second term? Because it was a phrase he spoke to you in 20.
We got some aggressive words from Mr. D. Martin, 7692. Oh man, where did the chat go? Never mind.
16, it's action he took with your government now.
Well, I think in the first term he believed, as did I, that we could enforce sanctions, a sanctions regime, which he did, and basically bring Iran to...
its knees, which is a phrase he used.
Yeah, well, they stopped exporting oil, you know.
Here it is. D. Martin says, bull, S hit. Everyone knows what you're doing, you manipulative bastard. My goodness.
It just reduced it completely. He hoped that that would work, and it did for a while, but it didn't really stop them. I would say it slowed them down, but it didn't stop them. Then they went back to enrichment. They went back to their full efforts on nuclear, to develop a nuclear weapon. And what changes...
A letter P. I can't repeat that, chat, but that's funny, man. I never heard that in my life.
is that they were very close to achieving it. That's what prompted the action. And it amazes me, frankly. You know, when we talk about it, people ask, what is the purpose of this war? What's the point? The point is not to let a regime committed to the destruction of the United States and Israel, they call us the little Satan, they call you the big Satan. What do you do with the big Satan? You have to remove it from the world.
Come on, is that accurate? I don't know if I've ever heard that. Do we have any data to back up Double B's point? I'm not against him, I'm not for him, I'm just trying to figure out how and where can we find the truth, and I have not heard that. I guess I got to look it up, excuse me.
That's their doctrine. Not to let such a regime have nuclear weapons, because it's very different if, I don't know, let me pick a country. If Holland has nuclear weapons, it's not the same as the Ayatollah regime that calls for your destruction having nuclear weapons. So that's what prompted this, these military operations.
Mr. Prime Minister, what is your evaluation of the state of the Iranian regime today? Is it just as well composed, well organized, and fanatical as you just described?
I think it's at the weakest point it's been since it hijacked the Iranian people and took
Since
over.
1979?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the weakest it's been. The hardliners are just as hardline as they were before, but there are fissures in the regime. I mean, there are cracks in it because they've been hit very hard by our joint efforts, our joint military efforts. We destroyed a lot of their money machine, their petrochemical plants, their steel plants in which they produce the raw material for these rockets and ballistic missiles and other things. We hit them very hard, and so it causes now a debate within this with this regime. Some say, let's keep on trucking, and others are saying, if we do, our economy will collapse and the people will rise. That's their real fear. The people will rise because they're really afraid of the Iranian people.
How you doing now,
So
Haji?
they are, there's a debate. They're weak. They're certainly weaker than they were before, but it's not over, and the jury's still out. I'm the first one to say it.
What do you believe is the physical condition and operational influence of the current supreme leader?
Yeah, if you ask me what his condition is, first of all, if you ask me if he's alive, I think he is alive. What his condition is, it's hard to say. He's holed up in some bunker or in some secret place, and I think he's trying to exert his authority. I don't think he has the same authority that his father, the Ayatollah Khamenei, had. I don't think so. That's also creating the disruptions in that regime, and I don't think that's a bad thing. But I think the real question is not so much what they do; it's what we do. Do we keep them in check? Do we keep up the pressure? And I think the answer is we should, and we are. And President Trump has been leading this effort, I think, quite unexpected ways. The blockade on them, when they were blockading the Gulf, is actually turned the tables on them. But it's an ongoing thing.
With the fractures and fissures you described, do you have a genuine sense of who can negotiate a deal that is durable on the Iranian side?
Well, I have my opinions.
Please share them.
I share them with the president.
Okay. Any guidance on what those opinions are?
I have opinions on my opinions too, but I'm not going to share them here either.
Understood. What about the
Is this kind of like a marketing campaign as well for Double B?
second front of this conflict?
We got Liam Cooper saying, after Iran, who is next? Great question.
Is Lebanon, but not Lebanon, it's Hezbollah. Is that near an end? Is that a war?
There you go. Cuba. Larry Diaz jumping in on the chat.
That is nearing an end, and has Israel achieved its strategic and tactical goals against Hezbollah?
Hezbollah had 150,000 ballistic missiles and rockets before the war. 150,000. That's the densest concentration of these projectiles on the planet. And they were all aimed to destroy our cities, not only to harass the north of the country with rockets, but to destroy our cities.
H. Newman jumping in on the chat saying, after Cuba, it's the U.S. What do you guys think? Is that accurate?
Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, Haifa, you name it, with ballistic missiles that come.
We got Blue Top Guitar 1104 saying, Israel has become a liability for America. Cut military aid to Israel. If the U.S. did that, what would happen?
Raining down, each one has half a ton or a ton of explosives, and they come down. It's like a bus coming down with amazing speed, and the destruction is terrible. We destroyed the bulk of that. We destroyed about more than 90% of that. But that still leaves them with thousands of rockets and some ballistic missiles. And that's still a big issue. They still hold Lebanon hostage. Hezbollah is basically a proxy of Iran. Iran holds Lebanon. We have no quarrel with Lebanon. We can make peace with Lebanon and want to make peace with them tomorrow, no yesterday. But you have this foreign body, this Iranian-backed terrorist organization that hijacked the country.
Right. And the Lebanese government has a history of being incapacitated or unable.
Right.
So when you're negotiating with the Lebanese government, many people are confused. How does that solve the Hezbollah problem?
Well, it doesn't, not yet. So we've had to go into Lebanon to prevent a repeat of the invasion we had in Gaza. In October 7th, Hamas invaded us, butchered our men, beheaded our men, raped our women, and then killed them, burnt our babies, did the worst massacre against the Jewish people since the Holocaust. And guess what? On the other border, Hezbollah from Lebanon was planning to do even more. They had 5,000 Red One Force terrorists ready to invade the Galilee. So we pushed them back. We've got a security belt now that prevents them from doing that, or shooting anti-tank missiles into our kitchens, into our living rooms. But it's not over yet. We still have missiles, we have drones, killer drones, we have to deal with it. Now, let me tell you, the Lebanese would like us to do that, many. You know, they talk.
Eradicate Hezbollah.
Oh yeah, because they want freedom. Who would want a country to be taken over by these killers, these murderers? Of course they want to be free, but they've not shown yet the capacity to fight them. What we're talking to them about is how do we work together to militarily and politically, possibly splitting up the work, to get rid of Hezbollah. It's not yet been done. I can tell you it's like bankruptcy, you know? It proceeds, proceeds gradually and then it falls,
right.
You know? Like that. You couldn't predict the fall of the Soviet Union. You couldn't predict the fall of the Ceausescu dictatorship in Romania.
Very few people predicted the fall of Syria.
Correct. And it happens.
Your dad says, I am banned. What do you mean? Oh, you're back. All right.
Now, is it what precedes it? There has to be a weakening of the regime. The regime has been weakened, but it's not guaranteed.
There are few places on earth where the Israeli intelligence operatives know more about than the internal dynamics of Iran. What are they telling you?
Just what I told you. They've been weakened. They have internal fights. They're worried. But I can't tell you. I can tell you one thing. When did the uprisings? When did the revolt in the street happen in Iran? It happened after our first operation, after Rising Lion, after Midnight Hammer, the two names that we have for that. And then, you know, they came out to the streets because their economic conditions were bad, were getting worse, but also because they saw that Iran is not this overwhelming, you know, neighborhood bully that nobody could resist. We resisted them. We fought them. Our planes controlled the skies over Tehran, which was unthinkable before that. And then they went onto the streets. They were.
We got Mark David in the chat, doing a little bit of marketing for his massage company. There you go, buddy.
They were massacred. They were wounded, maimed by the tens of thousands. And so, you know.
That memory has to linger.
The memory lingers, and I think it's something else. I think the legitimacy is gone because they understand that it's just brute force that is keeping them. So would that rise up again? Could that happen again? My view is it probably could, but you can't guarantee it. And contrary to what people said, I didn't go to the White House and said to Donald Trump, you know, it's guaranteed, it can be done. I said, I didn't really have to tell him. He knew that we were approaching a situation where Iran could produce a nuclear weapon. He knew that we were approaching a situation where Iran's ballistic missile capability after Rising Lion was going to be reconstructed, and Khamenei wanted to put it underground. The factories underground, not the missiles, the factories underground to produce more and more and more ballistic missiles, and to do the same with his nuclear industry. Put them underground, under a heavy mountain where even B-2s couldn't reach it. So he knew that we have to take action, and he did.
I'm going to get to that point you just made in a second. If someone were to ask you, as I'm going to, Mr. Prime Minister, the capabilities of Israeli intelligence within Iran allowed you to pinpoint the location of Supreme Leader and others, that is a kind of granular intelligence that is borderline miraculous in the modern world. Why wasn't it sufficient to also foment a revolution?
I think it could be a necessary condition, but I'm not sure that it's a sufficient condition. But you're quite right about our granular capability for surgical attacks.
Why can't they also set in motion a revolution that could topple the regime, your operatives?
Because you need many things. You not only need, you know, to attack the leadership. There's still a lot of people there. You know, one out of 100 Iranians is in the secret police. You know, and they're, as they showed, they're quite ready to just butcher their people. So it's not that simple, because it's terror. It's basically the application of terror. This is the preeminent terrorist regime in the world. Okay, they send terrorism to every country, but first to their own people. So they terrorize them. But we, you know, we have been accused of indiscriminate attacks. We're the most discriminating military on the planet in history. You remember the beepers? We knocked out We didn't kill
Remember the beepers?
2,500 people, but we impaired them, knocked them out with surgical precision, no collateral damage with the beepers, you know. And that's what we proceeded to do against their key scientists, against their key commanders, against their leaders. But it's a component. It doesn't guarantee. It doesn't guarantee the success of a revolt, but it could help it happen.
So you referred to this a minute ago. I want to put the question directly to you because the New York Times on April 7th reported the following about a fateful meeting, February 11th, in the White House.
For the blockade, and that's actually a brilliant move by the president. I think it's very smart. I don't think they calculated, I think they didn't calculate the response that this would have. Yes, they could cause a global dislocation of markets, trying to take over an international maritime route. They could do that, but they should have understood that that would eventually cause a reaction that was very powerful, and that is now collapsing their economy. So did people understand, did we understand that, yeah, they could do it, but then they wouldn't do it because they understood what would happen if they did do it? I don't claim perfect foresight, and nobody had perfect foresight. Neither did the Iranians. They should have figured out that that's what's coming.
Did you say that most of these risks would be minimal?
I don't remember using that language, and
would that be a fair interpretation?
No, I would say that the overall conception was that this would elicit a problem.
We got Oi Oi in the chat saying, I never heard a Jewish person say extinguish to the Gentile, but I have heard a Muslim say extinguish to the infidels. Let that sink in. Is that accurate?
Response that they probably would not shoulder, but they did shoulder, and now they're attacking. They're being attacked accordingly.
In those moments, was the precipitating factor the intelligence that was gathered and then by the Israelis and confirmed by the U.S. about the location of the supreme leader and the opportunity that presented, or was it the imminent threat? Which was more important?
It starts with the threat. Starts with the threat.
But,
and again, you have to understand this. The president talked to me. The two meetings that I described to you were among many. But he said we cannot let Iran get a nuclear weapon because that's enormously dangerous to the United States. And the president first thinks about America, and then he thinks also about the world. You can't let it happen. So we knew it was going to happen. It would have happened already if we hadn't done it. So that was the first thing. Everything else flows from that. That's exactly how it happened.
There's a quote that's frequently misattributed to Winston Churchill. History is written by the victors. He didn't say it. Lots of people said it. He didn't say it.
No, he said, I don't worry about it because I'll write it myself.
But that idea that victors write the history. What will the history,
Is that inaccurate? Do the victors not write the history? Is he just calling out propaganda right now? What a bold move in front of Double B, right? That's a bold move, man. Very bold. We got Skyhog saying that's their religion. It's different to ours. He probably believes, like the Muslims believe, they're doing a righteous God's work. There you go. There you go. We're going live every day of 2026. So make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, become a member, throw in a super chat. All super chats get read.
The state of Israel will write about this conflict with Iran? And when will you know it's been victorious?
I think we already achieved great things. Remember, Iran was surrounding us with a noose of death, of simultaneous invasions from Gaza, from Hamas, and from Lebanon by Hezbollah. We were going to be rocketed and pelleted with ballistic missiles that would destroy our cities. Iran would have atomic weapons to destroy us. We smashed the terror axis. It's not finished. We have still work to do. Right. But it's clear that Israel has emerged as the most powerful country in the Middle East. We have a partnership.
Will it ever be finished? That's the question. Will it ever be finished? Or is there always going to be something else?
With the U.S. that is second to none. The national security memorandum that was issued a few months ago described Israel as the model ally, not the ally, the model ally of the United States. So we've changed our position from being on the verge of being exterminated, being annihilated, to a position where we knock back the annihilators and become a very forceful.
All right, so I got some more data about that crisis. In January '79, Shah Pahlavi fled amid massive protests against his westernizing authoritarian rule. Seen as a U.S. puppet, Ayatollah Khomeini returned from exile, seized power, and turned Iran into an Islamic republic. U.S. President Jimmy Carter let the cancer-stricken Shah enter America for treatment in October, sparking outrage. On November 4th, Iranian students, backed by Khomeini, stormed the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, seizing 66 Americans, 52 held longest. The hostages faced mock trials, blindfolds, and isolation. Mock trials, huh? What happens there? What do you think actually happens there? Khomeini called them spies. A U.S. rescue mission, Operation Eagle Claw, crashed in April 1980, extinguishing 8 Americans and dooming Carter's re-election. Algeria mediated talks. Iran demanded frozen assets unfrozen, and the Shah extradited. He was extinguished in 1980. So the resolution: hostages freed January 20th, 1981, minutes after Reagan's inauguration via Algiers Accord. It birthed the great Satan rhetoric, sanctions, and endless enmity, fueling today's tensions. Hook for stream. There we go.
Element, a very forceful country in the Middle East. Now, all power is relative. You know that. All power is relative.
Yes.
You know. So Iran hasn't disappeared.
Hezbollah
hasn't disappeared. Hamas hasn't disappeared. But they're, in many ways, in some cases, a shadow of their former selves. They certainly don't threaten us now with annihilation. They try to kill our people. They occasionally succeed. But there's no question that the relative power of Israel has changed. And you know, that's been our situation. When we started out, we were 600,000 people on a beach here, and we were attacked by 7 Arab armies, and we survived by the skin of our teeth. And as we got stronger, we made peace with the Arabs.
Is that accurate? I thought that the Palestinians welcomed them in with open arms. That's wild. That's wild.
States, I myself, along with President Trump, we made the Abraham Accords, peace with 4 Arab countries. I now see the possibility of the expansion of those agreements and the expansion and the deepening of the agreements we do have to alliances with Arab states of the kind that we never even dreamed of. And that's the result of the change in the relative power of Israel. The fact that we face down this neighborhood bully, this killer regime in Iran, that's brought quite a few of the Arab countries closer together with Israel. And that's good for peace.
It's interesting you mentioned that, Mr. Prime Minister, because I just read a Wall Street Journal story that said there is concern among the Gulf states right now that if the Iranian regime hangs on and there is a peace deal that deals with nuclear and ballistic but does not deal with shorter range conventional missiles, and the allied militias, an angry Iran will present a greater danger to these Gulf states.
I mean, we're a tiny country, right? But we're a gigantic country. We may have 10 million.
Yeah, I try to start early, man. Absolutely. Early bird catches the worm. That's right. And by the way, we're going live every day of 2026. So like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, throw in a super chat, become a member if you want.
And people in tiny territory, but gigantic talent.
Someone in the chat says you can tell when Netanyahu is lying because his lips are moving.
And they see the possibility.
Do you guys agree with that?
Now of sharing the fruits of these capabilities with them, and And that's happening right now. So yes, of course, there'll still be a challenge from Iran, but the partnership with Israel, in fact, helps deter that and help them defend themselves and protect their future.
When you talked to my colleague, Tony DeCopel, in October of 2025, you said something that really has been ringing in my ear. It's near the end of the interview. You said the most important thing in destroying fanaticism is to destroy a certain hope.
Right.
Bud 3169. Man, talking about that thing on his lip, huh? How do you think that got there? What do you think? Or maybe it's just stress. You never know.
When Israel is too strong, that prepares the ground for a change of heart.
Right.
Has that happened?
It's already happened with the Arab world. You know, after successive wars, and they saw that Israel is not destroyed, Israel is there.
But I mean, in this current context, with
With
Hezbollah,
Iran itself.
with Iran,
I think the
Hamas.
fanaticism, you're dealing here with fanatic regimes. You know, they're fanatics. So that's why they're willing to do horrible things to their own people. Murder their citizens in Iran, murder their citizens in Lebanon, murder their citizens and just execute them on the spot in Hamas in Gaza. They're not easily persuadable. So you may need more staying power, more resolve to roll them back and finally to defeat them. It's not something that happens over.
That's wild. A letter P. Yeah. If you got pictures, don't send it to me, bro.
Overnight. But do democracies have the staying power? Do they have the resolve to stop these fanatics? Well, you think, well, it's none of our business. It is your business. Because if Iran were to develop nuclear weapons and the means to deliver them to every American city, it's just a question of time. You know, they've just developed a missile to reach Diego Garcia. That's 2,400 miles. To reach the United States, a little over 6,000 miles. So if you don't take this action, if we hadn't taken this action, if we don't continue the pressure, then one day you'll be faced with such a regime. And then the question is, will you be able to deter them? Well, it's not obvious. Look at what they're doing now without nuclear weapons. They're attacking everybody in sight. They're jamming up this international waterway and causing a crisis in the world economy. And they're butchering their own citizens. You think they'll be, you know, they'll spare you, they'll be nice to you.
But you still have
we
that
still
belief.
have that. We still have, yes.
This is your philosophy. This is your core philosophy.
Yes, I believe that free societies have to be strong against
and that you can
murderous
force a
dictatorships.
change of heart within fanatical entities in the region.
We got Mark David jumping on the chat saying he should grow a little mustache.
It's already happened. It's happened in some places also in the Gulf, but it is, you know, it's not guaranteed. History doesn't guarantee the victory of free civilization. It has to be purchased. Freedom is precious. Survival is precious.
What has to be purchased? Excuse me?
History doesn't guarantee the victory of free civilization. It has to be purchased.
History doesn't guarantee a free civilization. It has to be purchased. What's he trying to say with that, man? What type of riddle is this? Unless I just don't understand. Is that clear to you guys? I'll play it one more time.
You know, it's not guaranteed. History doesn't guarantee the victory of free civilization. It has to be purchased. Freedom is precious. Survival is precious.
Oh, you got to pay for it in that way. You got to fight for it. I see what you're saying.
It's not guaranteed by hope alone.
Understood.
It is guaranteed.
Thank you, Magic Man. Matthew Payment to the USA. Chris Kroll. Okay. Thank you, bro. Thank you.
By the force of will, and if necessary, the force of arms. Now, this is not a popular belief these days, because in the digital age we live, where people just scroll and scroll and scroll, you know, the sense of history becomes dim. You know, you're lucky in some cases if it goes back to breakfast.
Transient.
Yeah.
Ephemeral.
Very ephemeral, and people don't always understand what I think is important, that our free civilization is both precious, but also vulnerable. And if societies don't have the will to defend themselves, they'll be overtaken by the barbarians. I read
Is that true, Michael Enzo? I did not hear about that. Let's see.
this by, and my favorite author, one of my favorite authors, Will Durant, a great American historian, wrote, the history of civilization. And basically he wrote a compendium at the end, a 100-page book, Lessons of History. I gather you read it.
I have indeed.
Okay, and so he says it, he basically says this. Nothing's guaranteed. Good doesn't triumph over evil. It's not guaranteed unless good is willing to fight. And what is happening in some parts of Western society, it looks like it's taken over a lot of Western Europe and some parts of the United States. Fighting the bad people is bad, because fighting is bad. War is horrible. I've been in it. Myself.
All right, so he's saying war is horrible. So push for peace. How to find peace, negotiate, figure something out, right?
Experienced it. I lost a fellow soldier, died in my arms when he was 18. My brother died rescuing hostages. I myself was wounded in a hostage release.
So yeah, a 23-year-old Florida International University student named Gabriela Saldana was arrested in April 2026 for a WhatsApp group chat message referencing Bibi. She faces felony charges for making a written threat to extinguish or hurt after classmates reported it as a BOMB threat. That's wild. Okay.
And I've seen the horrors of war. I've seen my parents grieve for their oldest son. I've seen other parents grieve. I know the cost of war and I know the pain of war. War is hell, exactly as described. And you do everything you can to prevent civilian casualties on the other side. Israel has gone to unbelievable lengths. But sometimes you have no choice. And if you get to the point where people say, no, under no circumstances will we fight, then you'll have to fight under the worst of circumstances.
You mentioned this a moment ago, but I want to probe it a little bit. This idea that a younger generation are on social media or scrolling, do you believe Israel is at risk of losing this war on that social media front? Meaning what is being portrayed, what is being said, and this is particularly, I believe, important in America for younger Americans, Republican and Democrat, who have hardened themselves against Israel, scrolling through images which tell them that there is something.
Thank you, Michael.
Something not as you describe, but uncivilized. And they would use words like barbaric in Gaza and in Lebanon.
Well, first,
are you losing that space?
Yeah, let me talk about that in a second. But first, let me say something that your audience probably doesn't know. That, as I said a minute ago, Israel is gone.
He doesn't believe in censoring.
We have several countries that basically manipulated social media with bot farms, with fake addresses, to break the American sympathy to Israel, to break the American-Israeli alliance because they think it's in their interests. And they do it in a clever way. It's like you hear a text message. I'm a red-blooded Texan. I always supported Israel, but I can't stand what they're doing. I'm turning against Israel. And then you trace the address to some basement in Pakistan, And that's something that has hurt us badly.
Did he have to drop Pakistan? Is that really where it's happening? Come on, guys. If that's true, those Pakistanis, come on. How do you create peace? Don't try to create conflict for no reason. Come on, y'all.
While we were fighting the physical military battle on 7 battlefields, 7-front war, we were completely exposed on the 8th front, the media war, really the social media war. And, we've been busy. So we haven't seen that while they're attacking us with the equivalent of F-35s, we're trying to fight them with the Polish cavalry. It's like, it's almost what happened in World War II. So I think we have to engage on that front, not by
with the Polish cavalry
censorship, but by finding ways that are applicable to democracies. We can't do what these authoritarian regimes do, but finding ways to fight the battle for the hearts and minds of young Americans on the social media. And that we have to do, absolutely. We have a problem, I recognize it, and we have to get our act together.
Do you in any way consider yourself responsible for that problem?
No, because I don't think that they're not only attacking Israel. They're attacking America. They're attacking America. They're trying to create ruptures within America, not only between...
Was he talking about the fraud in Minnesota? Is he talking about Somalians right now?
Between America and Israel, between Americans and Americans. They're trying to say...
Foreign operation bot farms.
Enormous ones. And also getting to your universities, getting to your academic curricula, doing all sorts of things.
That is a true scenario. But do you believe that's the only explanation, or is it possible that some Americans have come to a different sense of Israel because of the last 2 or 3 years?
Well, there's no
organically and through their own
you can track
inquiry?
You can track it, actually. No, I think what they see is so many falsifications and vilifications that are unfounded. But they don't know because they just get it, they just get the last reel in the movie. They don't see the entire movie. But I'll tell you what happens. We saw that several years before the Gaza war, which definitely caused us a lot of damage because it was mispresented. But I'll tell you what, it was like the Gaza war was pouring kerosene on a fire that was already there. We could see that happening. We didn't understand it initially. We didn't see, when it started going down, we didn't understand, why is it going down? What's happening here? Before the Gaza war. But now we know a lot. We know a lot. And there's that eighth front. But it's not only our front, it's also your front. So many of Americans, young people, say they're not proud to be Americans.
There we go. We got Prime Minister Netanyahu in the chat saying that is the reason we bought TikTok. There you go, buddy. Thanks for letting us know. We're going live every day of 2026, so make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, become a member, throw in a super chat if you want. It helps this channel stay alive.
I think they should be proud. I mean, without America, we wouldn't have this generation of freedom. You wouldn't have the free societies that we have, the free civilization that we have. I think that this is a challenge that not only faces the American-Israeli relationship, it challenges...
Yeah, Lord Alcatraz says World War XI. Direct quote from Ilhan Omar.
The way America sees itself.
On that point, looking forward, Mr. Prime Minister.
Now, it's true you spend trillions of dollars or hundreds of billions and billions of dollars in Afghanistan and so on. And one of your senators said, hell, if we had in Israel instead of Afghanistan, over there, we wouldn't have to spend $1 trillion. It'll be a lot cheaper. But I'm saying it's going to be a lot cheaper because I want to draw down the American support for Israel to zero. We've come of age. We have a booming economy. After 3 years of war, our currency is the strongest it's ever been in the last 50.
A booming economy. There you go.
2 years, maybe more. Our stock market is one of the leading stock markets in the world. It's because we have this very high-tech juggernaut economy, one of the two centers of cross-discipline, breaking technologies, just changing the world. And we have a lot of talent here, which we share with our American friends. And we're going to share it with our Arab friends, too. And go from aid to partnership.
Rock and roll. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you.
So I want to draw it down, and then I want to suggest projects, joint projects, for intel, for weapons, for missile defense. Israel, I think, is a leader in this in the world. Many countries come to us for it.
Yeah, Israel has a lot of technology. They're technologically advanced.
I'd like to share it with the United States. We put an exact amount of money. You put the same. We share the fruits exactly. Now, I'm not just speaking here because I did this. We had financial aid. When I first came in 1996,
yes.
First time I became prime minister. And I was invited by the U.S. Congress for a joint session, one of 4 such sessions. And I was a young prime minister at the time. So I said, you know, you give us financial aid and you give us military aid, which also costs money. So I think we're going to change Israel to be a free market, high-tech juggernaut. And as a result of that, I'm saying that we can wean ourselves of the financial aid that you were given. And all my advisors said, what is he doing? What is he doing for a headline? He's giving up such an important part of the economy. I said, no, it's not a headline. We are going to make this free market revolution, which I led and we did, and Israel indeed became a preeminent and really a gigantic force in the economy. What we did on the economic side, I'm not going to do on the military side, and basically have no American financial aid.
Minister Netanyahu in the chat saying U.S. is obligated to give me money. There you go, from Prime Minister Netanyahu himself in the chat, if it actually is him.
I want to start now. You know, it could go down very fast. It could go down very fast. But the most important thing, you know, General Keane, who was head of one of your intelligence services, said of what Israel gave to the United States, just on intel, he said it's worth 5 CIAs. Now, I don't know if it's worth 5 CIAs or 1 CIA. I respect the CIA a lot. But in tangible matters, Israel is your best ally. It's the only one that really provides you with gems of intelligence, shares our incredible technology, appreciates every penny that you gave us, deeply appreciates. You know, if you go in Israel today, it's not like other countries, like everybody's pro-American because we appreciate what America stands for. We appreciate the aid that was given. We appreciate what is happening now. We appreciate President Trump's resolute stand and the fact that the American military is performing so miraculously and so bravely alongside our brave people, our brave pilots and soldiers. We appreciate all that. But I think it's time that we ended over time an agreed schedule, American military aid, and move from aid to partnership.
The British ambassador.
We got Terry jumping in on the chat saying multiple nations, including Colombia, Libya, and several European states, filing interventions. The court previously issued binding provisional measures, including ordering Israel to prevent G-word acts, and the G-word is revolving around extinguishing many people, and allow humanitarian aid, which reports indicate have not been fully complied with.
Earlier this year said
hopefully not. And make sure y'all like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, going live every day of 2026. Become a member, throw in a super chat, join the best chat in the world.
Privately, it's since come out that Britain does not have a special relationship with the United States anymore. He said if there's a special relationship, it's between Israel and the United States. From your vantage point, is that correct?
I don't always find myself in agreement with British ambassadors, but I'll have to agree on this one.
I'd like to ask you about what you know, because in our conversations here the last couple of days, we picked up some interesting suggestions about this, about China providing materially valuable military support to what remains of the Iranian regime. True?
China gave a certain amount of support on particular components of missile manufacturing, but I can't say more than that.
Does that disturb you?
Well, I didn't like it, but I think that if China weighs its interests, does it really want to have Iran controlling the waterways to supply the energy that China needs? Would it not prefer to have open waterways that are not subjected to this kind of violent blackmail? You know, not everything is a zero-sum game. Just as, you know, if you think about it, you know, I'm talking about the brilliant future of AI, but there's dangers in AI, a lot of dangers. It's not just a simple proposition. So you have to advance the benefits and contain the dangers. Would it not make sense, and I'm sure it will, for President Trump and President Xi in their upcoming meeting to talk about advancing humanity's benefits out of AI but jointly controlling the dangers that could be quite frightening. So, it's not everything is a zero-sum game, and I don't think everything is a zero-sum game when it comes to Iran. Do you really want to have a fanatic regime with nuclear weapons that is committed to Islamist revolutions?
Oh, we finally got a chat we can read, right? The Wrong Shoes to 2 says he is a good politician. I give him that because he is saying what he thinks America wants to hear, but it's obviously not being totally straightforward. We got some example of double talk.
That's what Iran's constitution says. We're committed to export the Islamist
China should
revolution. So China, I think, should think about
because
we got humongous using the gaslight emoji. It's only for members, and join the chat, become a member, throw in a super chat. I love you. Become a subscriber.
Apparently doing it right now.
Could be. I don't want to speak for China. I don't want to speak.
Perfect timing.
Speak also.
But you have eyes and ears on this.
Yeah, well,
he just said eyes and ears on this, bro. What a bold man.
But I also have a closed mouth when necessary.
When you talked to my colleague, Leslie Stahl, in 2016, you mentioned having a conversation with President Putin about Syria, saying we don't want an inadvertent clash between Israel and Russia, and you worked it out. You said so in the interview. How do you regard Russia's support for Iran now, materially and otherwise? Is that something that could create an inadvertent clash between Israel and Russia over Iran because if it's existentially important to Israel? Might it get to that stage?
I think there was a lot of cooperation between them in the beginning phases of the Ukraine war because Iran was supplying drones to.
Ken Duped, how you doing, buddy?
I mean, Russian support for Iran now.
But I have to tell you, there's not been that much support. I don't think it's because of us. I think it's because Iran, or rather Russia maybe, thinks that some of the things that Iran does is not necessarily to its favor. But it's a mixed bag, it's not a direct black and white, sometimes they have mixed interests, so they support them on some things and don't support them on other things.
So you detect minimal support from Russia in this conflict?
You mean military support?
Yes.
All right, so the Samson option is Israel's. Oh, thank you to Peter A.H. Appreciate it. Peter A.H. asks, look up the Samson option, Israeli policy in the 70s. So the Samson option is Israeli alleged nuclear deterrence strategy of last resort. If the nation's existence is imminently threatened by invasion or destruction, it would unleash massive nuclear retaliation, potentially on enemies and even non-combatants, ensuring mutual devastation, like Samson toppling the temple on himself and his Philistine captors. So there's biblical roots, named after the biblical strongman who blinded and captured, prayed for strength to collapse a Philistine temple's pillars, killing thousands of foes, plus himself in vengeance. It's not official Israeli policy. Israel maintains nuclear ambiguity. We won't confirm or deny, but popularized by Seymour Hersh's 1991 book on its arsenal. So if they won't confirm or deny, that's exactly what it means. They won't confirm or deny for maybe some type of reasons. Don't want to assume, just that's what they say. Modern context, a doomsday MAD, mutually assured destruction twist. Israel estimated 80 to 400 warheads, signals it'll go full apocalypse if overrun, deterring Arab coalitions or Iran, reference in 1973, Yom Kippur war talks, and recent tensions. Samson's diet plan. If I'm going down, everyone's hitting the pillar. 0 survivors. I guess. Israel's nuke mic drop. Right. Talk about explosive exit strategy right there. Yeah, we're going live every day of 2026. So make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, become a member, throw in a super chat, help us reach our goals.
Direct military support. That's not been a big issue.
How about intelligence support?
Let me leave it to what I said.
Let's go to Gaza real quick.
Almost sounded like a threat right there, right?
Again, when you talked to Tony DeCopel back in 2025, this was right after the border peace. He said, we have a chance, after we're going to give peace a chance. Subsequently, well, we would have subsequently both the demilitarization and disarmament of Hamas. Hamas has to give up its arms. You must make sure there are no weapons factories inside Gaza, and there's no smuggling of weapons into Gaza. So, 4 things. Disarmament, achieved?
No.
Okay.
For sure, huh?
Demilitarization?
No.
Weapons factories?
Reduced a lot, yeah.
Smuggling into Gaza to refit Hamas?
That's really been curtailed because we envelop Hamas now, in Gaza. We envelop it and we cut off their supply route, which was the Philadelphia corridor, to the Sinai, and everybody was smuggling those weapons. So 2 out of 4.
2 out of 4.
Largely achieved. But the first 2 was supposed to be
done
by Hamas. That was part of
That's part of the 20-point deal.
Right.
Unachieved.
Well, Hamas promised to do it, and they violated the deal.
Now what?
Hamas, and then Hezbollah, and then the Assad regime, which we helped bring down, and then Iran itself. And
there you go. Yeah, your dad says most restrained. Gotta emphasize that one right there.
Houthis, that came later. And I said on the second day of the war, I said, we're going to change the Middle East. We're going to change this condition where they're ganging up on us, thinking they're going to wipe out the one and only Jewish state, wipe out 3,500 years of Jewish history. It's not going to happen. Not on my watch. And I said to the Israeli citizens, not on your watch. They're so brave. The soldiers are so brave. The people are so brave that they said they went with this. And we were able to perform miracles because of the strength of the people, because of their sense of history, understanding that history and the Almighty, well, it's not going to give the Jewish people another chance. We came back from the dead, from endless pogroms, expulsions, massacres, and the Holocaust. We came back. Are we going to yield to the Ayatollahs and their murderous proxies? No. And this tiny country emerged like a giant, to fight for its life, but not only for our life. Major, I want you to know that in Iran, they name streets after me. Do you know that? Well, after President Trump too, obviously, because he's leading the fight. But they have this, I don't speak Farsi, but they call me Bibi Jun, beloved Bibi, Bibi Jun. They name public squares. And as soon as they put they put the signs on, the Revolutionary Guards tear it down. But they know that while we're fighting for ourselves, we're fighting for them too. They know what few of the leaders in Europe understand, that in fighting here, we're preventing militant Islam from taking over their countries, which is a process that unfortunately has proceeded quite a lot. They understand that. So, I'm very proud of the fact that the Jewish people in Israel and the non-Jewish citizens of Israel banded together, that we put aside our differences. We're a boisterous country, we have divisions and so on. But at the moment of truth.
All right, let's go look at this. A full of rough and exuberant animal spirits. That's what boisterous means. Noisy and lacking in restraint or discipline. Violently agitated and turbulent. That's a boisterous, okay?
And in the citizens of Israel banded together.
All right, let's see what it says.
I'm very proud of the fact that the Jewish people in Israel and the non-Jewish citizens of Israel banded together, that we put aside our differences. We're a boisterous country, we have divisions and so on. But at the moment of truth and in the...
That's wild that he's saying that about his own country, right? Or is that wrong, that definition? Full of rough and exuberant animals, spirits. Okay. Do we see that? Yeah, we see that in the chat, right? Do we see it on both of them? Oh, this one I gotta move. noisy and lacking in restraint or discipline, violently agitated and turbulent. I can't believe he says that. Wild. Some people might get in trouble for saying that. That's wild.
Moments of truth. We stood up together against these barbarians, and we're fighting the
But he probably means it in like a nice way.
battle of civilization against the barbarians who couldn't give a hoot about human rights and who not only behead women, but tear out the hearts. I just saw this in Syria by these Islamists. They tear out the heart of a Druze, that's a non-Islamist sect, of a Druze man lying out, and they eat the heart out while the man is still twitching. And you could say, well, okay, everything is relative. No, it's not. This is evil, pure evil. And if we don't muster the will, the resolve to stand up to this evil, then we don't have a future. Now, if people accuse me of being militant in fighting this evil, yes, I'm militant in that sense. But I don't seek wars. I've been through them. I've been in battle. I've seen friends die in battle.
And you would reject any characterization of...
No, I can't do very much of that because you can get into the cell phones and you can repeat again and again that I'm a warmonger. Remember what
Indiscriminate, sometimes used.
Yeah, indiscriminate. We're as discriminating, as surgical as any army has ever been in history. Not only with the beepers and not only with those leaders in Iran and not only...
But in Lebanon and in Gaza.
In Lebanon and Gaza, yes. We do everything we can to avoid it. We've killed 2,000 terrorists now since the beginning of the roaring lion, epic fury. And we've been very careful to target them. But it's, you know, if people say that you're a warmonger, and they repeat it ad nauseum, you know, it assumes the cachet of self-evident truth. And that's what's happening. You get into their cell phone. You get the bots to repeat it. You show a picture here, a picture there of a tragedy. For us in Israel, every civilian death is a tragedy. For our enemies, it's a strategy. They implant themselves among civilians, you know, so that they have civilian casualties and they can put it on the tube.
Allegedly or 100% accurate?
Or in your cell phone. So yes, I mean, I don't know how to fight it. I mean, Churchill, without cell phones and without digital campaigns and farm bots, was labeled a warmonger in the 1930s because he said you have to stand up to Hitler.
Right.
And they accused him of being a warmonger. And Hitler didn't even say death to America, death to Britain, you know. I think he might have planned it, but he didn't say it.
Fake
Still,
news.
they accused him of that.
And he won the war and lost the re-election.
You lost, yeah, it happened. Could happen. You know, there's no guarantee. I mean, you know, when people...
We got Danny Sharp jumping on the chat saying, Island Man didn't like Israel. He was also a Muslim. It's in the files. Ooh. Do you have a link to that? That's wild. First time I heard that. We're going live every day of 2026, so make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, become a member, throw in a super chat if you want. Talk to us, BB.
They'd say to me, oh, you know, I go in the streets and you know, people have a lot of support here, contrary to what people describe. And they tell me, BB, you're a king. And I said, you're a king. I said, I'm not a king. I have to get elected. Kings don't have to be elected. I have to be elected. Can I have your vote? But that's the reality. You know, you're maligned. I think the difference for the Jewish people is that...
Funny guy.
We've been maligned. Anti-Semitism, which has shown its ugly head recently. You see it in America, you see it in Europe, you see it in Australia. We have these horrible attacks, including in the United States. You know, Jews gunned down. Saw this beautiful couple in working for our embassy in Washington, gone down right next to the entrance of the Holocaust.
I gotta agree with him there. You know, like, no one should be attacked just because of, you know, the color of their skin or their religion for no reason. Like, innocent people. Don't hurt innocent people. Don't hurt any innocent people. 100% agree with him there. That's very, very true.
House Museum in Washington. And they asked me, what is this resurgence of anti-Semitism? And I tell them that's exactly what it is. It's a resurgence. For the 2 millennia in which we were flung to the far corners of the earth, the Jewish people, we suffered
Thanks, Dan.
expulsion, massacre, in one country after the other. We left one country, were massacred in another, left for another. And always, these massacres were preceded by vilification, by slanders. We were spreading vermin. We were, I think probably the people that the Jewish people has a lot of hygienic codes. So to accuse us of spreading vermin, poisoning the wells, all that stuff, and that always preceded.
Derek Jasper, thank you so much for your gift, man. Appreciate it, buddy. Appreciate it. So, 200 of those. Sunshine. Appreciate it.
The massacre. Now, what has happened since the rebirth of the Jewish state is that anti-Semitism, this vile vilification of the Jews, took a reprieve after the Holocaust. Took a reprieve, took 80 years. It wasn't fashionable to be anti-Semitic, so you didn't say these things in polite society. But it's come back. It's almost like it accompanies us throughout.
What is that about, Mr. Prime Minister?
I think...
Because I want to stop you right there, because in my career, which started...
1, 2, 3... 1, 2, 3, 4... I don't know.
In 1990 and...
But it's come back. It's almost like it accompanies us throughout.
What is that?
One, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 5 fingers there. 1, 2, 3, 4. What? 1, 2. Okay, it's just kind of wiggled to the side a little bit. All right, that makes sense.
What's that about? Mr. Prime Minister.
I think...
Oh, he's doing that hand sign. What does that hand sign mean right there?
Because I want to stop you right there, because in my...
Is there a reason they went wide? Yo, how you doing, Waffle Jackson? Good to see you, buddy. Okay. Making a little confirmation. Saying, how you doing, Pen Breath? Good to see you. What's good, sir? Says Waffle Jackson. Whoever it was that said Islam. Okay. Island. Hate. Disliked Israel was right. I don't think he was Muslim, but he was a fan of the Prophet. Mo. Thank you, brother. Thank you, Waffle. Appreciate it, brother.
My career, which started in 1990 in Washington, up until...
Yeah, so I don't think this is AI, guys. You guys saw that 5 fingers, so...
Very recently.
By the way, we're going live every day of 2026, so make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, become a member, throw in a super chat if you want. Helps the channel survive, stay afloat. Thank you so much.
It was an established fact in Congress. Established fact. The Republicans and Democrats had a default proposition favorable to Israel. Not always, not universally, but a default proposition that began with yes. That's not true anymore. That's less true than at any other time I've covered Washington. That has to be reflective of something else.
Yes, it is. Well, these are historical cycles, which
So
my
you're in a
father...
historical cycle.
Yes, we are. I mean, anti-Semitism is...
Ebbed and flowed, yes.
Yeah, but it ebbed and flowed, but it flowed throughout our history. And the reason it,
But America's not a place where things like that tend to come back.
Well, they can come back. They were there in the 1930s
Yes.
with Father Coughlin, and they ebbed because of the war, but it's come back. What is it? I think it's an interesting question of why this happens, and I think there's a natural human tendency between...
Yeah, I don't think this is AI.
...people, and also between peoples, collective groups. It's called jealousy. And jealousy often, if somebody is very successful, you can be appreciative of them, especially if it's, say, a very successful and strong country. Then you temper your jealousy and you go to respect. But if you...
So these are the embers of envy.
I think it's part of it. I don't think it explains all of it, but I think one thing I can say is that there are many explanations for the phenomenon the durability of anti-Semitism over the ages. My father was a great historian of this. And you can...
We got Danny Sharp jumping in on the chat saying Islam is infiltrating America. Stop it or you will end up like the UK and Europe. There you go. What do you think, Chad? Do you agree with Danny Sharp? And we got Oi Oi saying, man, do you people even know anything about Islam? Cray cray. And we got Humongous saying, I know Islam is not compatible with the US. There you go. What do you think, chat?
We can have a separate discussion on it. But here's the difference. The difference is it seems to be an enduring flow, which sometimes ebbs, as it did in the last 80 years since the Holocaust, and comes back. Even in the best of societies, okay, it comes back. And the difference now is that whereas before, every time it came, it was accompanied by physical massacre, vilification, then massacre. Now, when they vilify the Jewish state, we don't let the massacre happen. We have the capacity to fight back. We have valiant soldiers, heroic soldiers who are willing to protect the people that are standing up to rocket attacks, ballistic missile attacks.
Does that intensify the envy then?
I think it elicits respect, actually, because that's what happens. And I see.
Oh, is that what Hugh was saying? I see. All right. Yeah, have a good one, Hugh.
See that with some of our Arab neighbors.
Because that goes back to what we were saying. This
Yes.
philosophy that you have, that when Israel is strong, it extinguishes this sense that it can be eliminated.
You know, you might think that we have this disrespect and this antagonism all over the world, but that's not true. We had a visit here. First of all, many Americans support Israel, respect Israel, have not succumbed to the slanders.
But the numbers are out of balance in ways they seem
Correct,
to be.
and for the reason I told you, because I think there's been a concerted effort by several states to basically vilify Israel in the primarily in the social media, in the standard media too, but that's less effective. The effective thing is in the social media, and we've not fought back yet, so we'll have to do that. But there are places in the world where Israel elicits enormous respect. One of them is India. India has only 1.4 billion people, 1.4 billion, you know, 1.5 billion people almost. And Israel is very popular in India, very popular. Prime Minister Modi came here and he was, you know, greeted with a great affection. But you should see, I was there with my wife Sarah. We visited India. It was a love fest. And there are other countries too. And let me tell you where that's happening. It's happening in some parts of the Arab world now. And people don't know that because, you know, what does the New York Times say? It says all the news that's fit to print, they just don't print the news that doesn't fit. That's what happens. So, you know, and they're not the only ones. I mean, but that's the story.
What does he mean by that? What does he mean? Let's take a double look. I'll get to that in a sec, Danny.
Fit to print. They just don't print the news that doesn't fit. That's what happens. So, you know.
That's wild that he's saying that, like, right on 60 Minutes. That's a huge statement right there, man. If it doesn't fit to print, they just don't print it. Very wild. Cowboy. There you go. We got Danny Sharp saying, I do know Islam. I have a Quran given to me from a mosque and bought one from their preferred site. It's not compatible. It is a T-word handbook on how to take over a country. R-word used. Oh, man. What? Wild, dude. Oi Oi says, King William VI, what Israel created free parking in Palestine. Oh, man. You guys. Continued from Danny Sharp. Used in the UK. Rooming. R-wording. our children is a war reward. People who don't follow everything is not a Muslim. Allah says so, according to Danny Sharp. All right, thank you for your chat. Good to know that information. A lot of people don't know that.
And they're not.
And I don't know if it's accurate. Can anyone confirm or deny those statements?
The only ones. I mean, but that's the story. Yes, you have to tough it out. Yes, you have to fight the information war. Yes, you have to speak about the justice of our cause. Yes, you have to.
He's talking about fighting the information war right there. And he just says, if it's not fit to print, don't print it.
Puncture the lies that are told about us. But ultimately, you have to have the self-confidence to continue.
Okay, we got the Chad saying he is right. Sam Goody saying he is right. Or no, Sam Goody saying I support, yes. So I don't know. Maybe he's talking about something else.
To develop your country, to continue to seek peace through strength with your neighbors, to work with America, to work with President Trump for his vision of ending this thing with Iran, which I think will create a tremendous wave, of positive wave. But all these things require a continuous effort. You don't just, I mean, the Bible talks about, the days will come, you'll each sit under your grapevine, everybody will, scuttle their swords and so on, and the Messiah will arrive. Well, perhaps, but it's not going to happen next Thursday, right? So until that happens, until that happy day reaches us, we have to be, free societies have to be strong and have to withstand a lot of attacks, including slanderous and political attacks.
You mentioned October 7th. Nearly all the decision makers in charge of security that day have either been fired or left. Defense minister, head of the military, head of the intelligence, head of the Israeli Secret Service, head of the Israeli Air Force. Next month, the head of the Mossad. The only one left is you. What is your level of accountability or responsibility for October 7th?
Well, some of them left because their term is up. One or two claimed they took responsibility, but it's not clear what does that mean, What is their responsibility? Let's look at the political echelon, the military echelon, the security echelons. Let's look down at everyone, and everybody bears some responsibility. Yeah, from the top, from the prime minister down. Now, let's establish an independent commission, and I proposed a bipartisan commission, like the one created after 9/11, after you had your horrible day. And let's have this bipartisan commission produce any witness, any evidence, anything they want. That's how you get the truth out in a non-political way. That's my proposal, and I think I'll be the first one to go there. But I think the real issue is, okay, that's up to October 7th. What about since October 7th? It was clearly my responsibility to get Israel out of this horrible noose of death that the Iranians put on us. And we did, systematically, very resolutely, go from each one of these 7 fronts, one after the other, and roll back the tide of terror. And I'll tell you what our greatest accomplishment was. And I can count the
Tanya Waters jumping in on the chat saying this man is an M-word extinguisher dictator and should be charged for war crimes. Do y'all believe that? Do you believe that? Let us know in the chat. We got Oi jumping in on the chat saying the old banking cartel is on its way out and the criminals will take humanity with it, but there will be peace on earth. No one will be here when those R words are done. You will own nothing and be 57 years of voter fraud, and here we are. Yeah, for those people, is there a reason you're not moving to Cuba or China if you like communism so much? Just curious. Beneficent 2557 says Peter Thiel literally started a bank. There you go. Danny Sharp says several Quran versus state. You can have what you right arm possesses as slaves from captives of war. There's also a waiting period for pregnant women and girls who haven't reached puberty. Interesting.
Degradation of their nuclear program, the degradation of their ballistic missile program, the degradation of their military industries, the knocking out of their military command and political command. If I had to cite two things, one on the operational level and one on the broader level. On the operational level, I think the most pointed success is knocking out 20 top nuclear scientists who are working on the atomic bombs to be used against Israel, America, and anyone else. And 12 were knocked out.
We got Oi saying Cuba and China's welfare checks suck. That's the reason they do not move there. There you go. And Beneficent says Bibi had 3 corruption trials. My goodness. Any updates with those?
The first minute of Operation Rising Line, first minute. And another 8 were knocked out now in the present operation. And I think taking out that amount of know-how, it doesn't eliminate the know-how, but it sets them back. Does it mean that they can't produce a device? They can't, no.
We got El Chicano saying Cuba is being blockaded and starved by our U.S. regime. How can that be fixed, man? How can that be fixed? And what's the reason?
But it means that if they plan this arsenal of nuclear atomic bombs that they thought they'd have by now, that's gone. It's been pushed back, and it's important. They don't have an atomic arsenal, but they would have had it, and we would have faced certain death. So the greatest accomplishment is we're alive. They didn't destroy us, and they're not going to destroy us next month because we didn't take that action a year ago and in the intermittent operation. And that's true for you too. They don't have the ability to destroy us now. We were saved. People say, how many people were killed in this or that operation? Israel is a country of
Okay, Waffle Jackson. Appreciate it, buddy. Appreciate it.
10 million. One of the Iranian leaders said it's a one-bomb country. We're not going to let them have that one bomb. That's a tremendous accomplishment. But the other one is this. The other one is that we broke the barrier of fear. For 47 years, Iran has been bullying everybody in sight. They've been murdering people across the swath of the Middle East and beyond. They've been sending terror everywhere.
Oh, the Chad USA, he likes that one. That's a good one. Are you on your phone or are you on your computer? Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. Yeah, I did a little update.
They've been attacking us and so many others. And they seem to be with immunity. Immunity and impunity. They could go on doing this because it was clear, everybody understood, you cannot fight Iran on Iran's territory. That was a given. And we changed it. And we had our brave pilots and your brave pilots over the skies of Tehran, over the skies of Iran. That changed. That broke that mask of invincibility. And once that happens, that regime, I think their days are numbered. But it could take a lot of days, I grant you that. And if you say, how long would it take, this war? I think a lot has been accomplished in a very short time. It's not going to take years. It may not take months.
It better not take months?
It may not take months. Okay. It depends. It depends a lot. I don't want to put a schedule on it. I think there's a mission schedule. There are goals to be achieved. But so far, I think an enormous amount has been done in a very short time.
I want to ask you about some developments recently here. Cardinal Pizzaballa faced obstacles to pray on Easter. There was a defacement of a crucifix in Lebanon. There was an assault on a nun in Jerusalem. This appears, to the eyes of some, as a trend line of hostility to Christians.
We got Beneficent 2557 saying enrichment is not the same as a bomb.
How do you respond to that? What is your attitude about it? What are you going to do about it?
It's the complete opposite. It's one of those incredible fabrications. If you look at the Middle East, the only place where the Christian community
We are always saying university indoctrination is more believed than reality.
Has not merely survived, but thrived, grew. It's in Israel. In every other Arab country surrounding us, they've been squished, squashed, sometimes massacred, but their numbers.
These are anomalies.
These are not only anomalies. These are things that go.
We got Pen 15 Breath saying this is not an interview. This is just a platform to lie on. What do you think, chat? What do you think? Is this what they're giving Double B over here? Just a platform to lie on while sitting. We're going live every day of 2026. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, become a member, throw in a super chat, helps the channel survive. And we're searching for truth and trying to develop the best community in the world right here, just for you.
Contrary to our ethos, to our respect for Christianity. After all, this country is the birthplace of Christianity, which obviously emerged from Judeo-Christian roots. You know that. I know that intimately because I know the history, and my father's great historian, teacher, was a man who wrote two seminal books, Jesus of Nazareth and From Jesus to Paul. But when that happens, okay, that guy, that soldier who did that, who not violated, but tore down a crucifix, he's in jail. That guy.
Awesome. Thank you, the Chad USA. Appreciate it. Are you on a computer or on a cell phone or device? And back to Double B. That's great that that person went to jail. What a horrible thing to do. What a horrible thing to do.
Who attacked a nun? He's on trial.
All right.
The cardinal?
The cardinal.
The first thing I heard about it, a policeman was saying, I don't want to have anybody on any site, our holy sites, the Jewish sites, the Christian sites, and the Muslim sites. When we were being attacked by missiles, we knew that Iran attacked near the temple,
Thank you, the Chad. Appreciate it, buddy.
Temple Mount, where all these sites are there. We didn't want people to die. So this guy, said, oh, we're not letting people in. I said, well, you can make an exception for the third-ranking man in the Catholic Church. So I intervened immediately and opened the doors. So, a policeman trying to do his duty, wrong. A soldier doing something that he shouldn't have done, he's in jail. And the same thing in the other case.
Bad things happen.
Yeah, but they are so opposite of what we have. I just met with some 50 young.
You never know. Maybe Israel is just getting a bunch of bad press. You never know. They could be like one of the kindest countries in the world. You just never know. It's always good to think rationally. Try to think rationally.
Christian soldiers, men and women in the army of Israel, serving to defend. They volunteer. They're heroes. And they fight along their Jewish comrades. Why do they do it? Because they know what I've just said is so true. And they say, how can people say that about Israel? It's the one country that values and protects Christianity. There's a town in Bethlehem, the birthplace of Jesus. Okay, when we controlled it, it was 80% Christian. When we did the Oslo Accords, we handed over Bethlehem to the Palestinian Authority, so we no longer control it. Guess what happened in the intervening years? It went from 80% Christian to 20% Christian, 80% Muslim right now, because the Christians have basically been driven out. Israel is the one country in the Middle East that protects Christians, that values Christians, that embraces Christianity. We have common roots. We appreciate them. There's an attempt not only to falsify our common history, but also to falsify current events, to seize on these aberrations and pretend that this is Israeli policy. That's ridiculous.
One last thing. because we talked a lot about this. The bots, the social media. Is it your belief, Mr. President?
And I can paint you as a monster. And if I say it often enough people will believe it. I am not bemoaning this. I'm stating this as a fact. Israel is besieged on the media front, on the propaganda front, and we've not done well on the propaganda war. We have to fight back against these lies, this propaganda, with the only weapon we have.
How can there be like a truth finder where whatever is online has to be like verified by multiple sources before it's like considered true? That would be kind of awesome, right? Wouldn't it? We're going live every day of 2026, so make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, become a member, throw in a super chat if you want. Helps the community survive.
It's the truth. I'm trying to do that now, and we'll try to do that in a much greater effort because we've left the battlefield to our enemies, and boy, do they lie all the time.
Mr. Prime Minister, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
There you go. So we confirmed that with this, there's actually 5 fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's not AI. Not AI at all, which is good. Yeah, we got some people in the chat that are, you know, we have different opinions, that's for sure. Teddy says, I've seen the videos that contradict what he is saying. Absolutely, man. Did he say it's been a pleasure? Oh, man. Oh, man. Let's see if he said that.
They named streets after me. Do you know that? Well, after President Trump, too, obviously, because he's leading the fight. But they have this, I don't speak Farsi, but they call me Bibi Jun, beloved Bibi, Bibi Jun. They named public squares. And as soon as they put the they put the signs on.
Wait, why is it over there? So it's supposed to be right here.
Mr. Prime Minister, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah, he said it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. Beneficent says a Samson option exists. Yeah, we just looked it up, man. That's a wild one. That is definitely a wild one. All right, y'all, I'm going to stretch my legs. I'm going to be right back. So I'm going to put this little video on because we're going to continue with this. But nature calls, and I'll be back in about 10 minutes. Going to do a little refresher. Where is that one? Just curious to see which one is which. The Chad USA says people should go to the full screen. Yeah, the full screen's a pretty good one. That's true. But if they're on the phone, I think the experience of the vertical is probably a little bit nicer for them. But all right, we'll pull this one up for now. All right, guys, I will be back in like 10 minutes. Be right back. Oh, sending data. Oh yeah. How much do we get done? We got so much done. It's just absolutely incredible, honestly. Like perfect. And if it's not perfect, it's right next to perfect. Just so happy. Just so happy. Good times, good times. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. What a fight. And easy opponent? No. Not at all. DJ. Mr. Sound. Mr. Sound. Oh, we got a gift for y'all, actually. An amazing gift coming up. So, yeah, we're gonna, later on in the stream, we're gonna announce the gift. And not the German style gift, but the actual, like, yeah, gift. The gift that you want in your life. One of those things. But who's this man on the screen? None other than Mr. Sean Strickland. Oh my goodness. My goodness. All right. Enough of this, right? Enough of this. Let's get into the communication, the data sharing, the thought process. So, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we are not watching a post-fight press conference. We are watching a man who looks like he got into a 5-round argument with a refrigerator, and somehow the refrigerator apologized. Just somehow, you know, because sometimes that's what it wants to do, right? Sean Strickland did it again. Incredible. The man walked into UFC 328 against Khamzat Chimaev, the undefeated monster, the human avalanche, the guy whose fighting style looks like someone hit rage quit on the laws of physics. And Strickland said, cool, I'll jab him, suffer, complain, bleed, probably say something uncomfortable, and then win a world title. That is not a game plan. That is a psychiatric evaluation with footwork. He had some nice footwork. First round taken down way too easy in my opinion, but you know, there's only one way to learn. You win or you learn, and he definitely learned after that first takedown on that first round. Man, what a hold. All right, so chat, buckle up. Tonight we are talking about Strickland, Khamzat, Dana White, the post-fight presser. Is it your real voice? No, man. This is a microphone. It's an AKG C214 with a F8N Pro Zoom. Routed into my Mac. Definitely not my real voice, man. My real voice is probably similar. Lord Alcatraz jumping in on the chat. Stricken propane. Explain yourself, brother. Explain yourself. What is that? And good to see you, Lord Alcatraz. My goodness, brother. How you doing? And we got the belt. We got the chaos. We got the comedy. We got the weird respect at the end. And the biggest question, did Sean Strickland just become the most impossible man in MMA to understand? I think so, right? And before we start, hit like, subscribe, become a member if you want to help build the funniest fight night community on the internet. And if your take is spicy enough to make Dana White remove some of those filters he has, drop it in a super chat and I'll read it live. Emma Wing, come on. Stop being so just difficult on yourself. Come on. Tonight's chat is not just watching the show. Chat is the commission. Autocorrected. Strickland propane from King of the Hill. Strickland propane. I don't know, bro. I didn't see King of the Hill, but it looked pretty funny. Would you recommend? We got to watch King of the Hill sometime. What's going on? Well, actually, I can't watch it because YouTube be like, yo, what you doing? But I guess I'll watch it on my free time. Oh, and we chatted with YouTube, by the way. We got all of that figured out. All of it's good. And talk to us, Sean. Well, basically what happened is you can only upload 3 videos per day. After the 3rd video, the 4th video, subscribers don't get the notifications. So I think on my Discord, anytime I upload, if y'all want to join, I'm gonna put a notification on my Discord so everyone can join whenever, because we're developing the best community in the world and would love to have you on board. Sean, talk to us, buddy. What's going on?
Congratulations on the win. As you said, many people doubting you. You said you doubted yourself. Talk to us about the fight, your performance, and frankly, how happy.
YTP, King of the Hill YTP. All right, I'm going to look that up. I have no idea what YTP is, bro.
You are to get the victory.
Oh, man. You know, all fights, I love fighting, you know, but, like, yeah, it was good. It was good. I had
TDS is real.
a good time. It was fun. I talk a lot of shit, so when you talk a lot of shit and you lose, it hurts way more, so.
Well, I was going to ask that. Look, you did talk a lot of shit, but.
Yeah, I did talk a lot of shit.
Pounds over.
Dude, who's going to just give some audio advice to these post-fight press conferences? Like, I want to hear all this stuff, but their audio tech, dude, come on, bro. They're getting roasted on Reddit. Like, this is wild.
And you apologized for it too afterwards, which was very big of you. But you talked a lot. Does that apply pressure to you when you're thinking, when you're warming up in the back? Do you start thinking like, man,
I might not even be able to watch this. If this is this annoying, I'm gonna cut it.
like, I really painted myself in a corner here, not just because you spoke some shit, but the level of shit you spoke.
I don't give a fuck, man. You know, it's like, I sell fights. I mean, look at the UFC, how boring it is. Like, really, like, the UFC is so boring. Like, I didn't even know half the, like, it's better than Alex, and Alex doesn't even talk. He's just big and scary. You know, I mean, that guy just knocks everybody out. But, like, other than Alex, like,
you know,
this might be a bit of a weird question, but because, you know, look, you went through 5 rounds together and stuff like that, were you kind of happy that Hamzat was willing to squash the beef with you too?
yeah, no, I mean, again, you guys,
so
I go fucking so hard, everybody. And there's always truth to what I say, and there's always, you know, there's always truth to what I say, but at the end of the day, man, all the hate's out of me. I need the hate battery recharged, so I need a couple of days. But funny story, you guys want to hear something funny? So on Tuesday, I'm sparring Johnny, that motherfucker, the PFL champ, and I'm at Polino's gym, Cruz's gym, and he fucking shoots on me, and I hit his brick ass wall, and I separated my shoulder. So I had.
Oh, that's what happened. I thought you got an
So I had a grade 1 AC joint separation on Tuesday, and I remember laying in bed on Tuesday night. I'm sure Chris has a video of me slamming the fucking shoulder, dude. Get some better pads. And I'm laying. I can't lay on my left side. All
right, dude. Let's see if this audio is better, please, Lord. Let this be better. Let's see.
Racism again, huh? Are you fucking trying, you gay ass pirate?
Let's try and avoid the racism.
All right, so I think this will be better. Thankfully.
As you said, many.
My face is as bad as it feels.
Looks a little rough, yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I think I broke my nose. I gotta go get stitches after this in my lip. What the fuck, monster? I was so stoked to drink this.
Yeah, the fridge is empty anyway. So
there you go, bro. Now he's getting involved in the marketing side. Good man, good man.
So Sean, congratulations on the win. As you said, many people doubting.
Fishing 748 saying noob. What do you mean, brother?
You said you doubted yourself. Talk to us about the fight, your performance, and frankly, how happy you are to get the victory.
Oh man, you know, all fights, I love fighting, you know, but like, yeah, it was good. It was good. I had a good time. It was fun.
It does look like he enjoys fighting, bro. He was smiling so much before the fight.
Talk a lot of shit, so when you talk a lot of shit and you lose, it hurts way more. So,
well, I was going to ask that. Look, you did talk a lot of shit, but
yeah, I did talk a lot of shit.
Yeah, and you apologized for it too afterwards, which was very big of you. But you talked a lot. Does that apply pressure to you when you're warming up in the back? Do you start thinking like, man, like, I really painted myself in a corner here, not just because you spoke some shit, but the level of shit you spoke?
I don't give a fuck, man. You know, it's like. I sell fights. I mean, look at the UFC, how fucking boring it is. Like, really, like, the UFC is so fucking boring. Like, I didn't even know half the, like, it's better than Alex, and Alex doesn't even talk. He's just big and scary.
Yeah, that's 100% accurate. Alex is big and scary, but he seems like such a cool dude, you know? He seems like a upright person, you know? He doesn't seem like a bad person, but he's true. He's true. You got the eye pokers. You got Cyril Gahn. Eye poker. You got Justin Gaethje eye poker. You got some eye pokers. Yeah, you got Conor McGregor, the greatest fight marketer on planet Earth, if not Sean Strickland. They're up there. They're up there. You know, because Sean Strickland is actually doing it, and McGregor, you know, he's supposed to be coming back in July, which would be excellent.
You know, I mean, that guy just knocks everybody out. But like, other than Alex, like. It's just fucking boring, dude.
Oh, Cristiano says Khamzat won the fight. R.I.P.? What do you mean R.I.P.? Khamzat had more ground control. Ground control? Yeah, bro, but what did he do on the ground? Bear hug him from the back? And then, what was it, second or third round, Khamzat went into guard? Come on, bro, come on. What are you talking about, dude? And Khamzat didn't make weight, right? No, I think it was a close fight, regardless. I'm not saying like Sean beat him tremendously, but it was close. But no, Sean took it for sure.
This might be a bit of a weird question, but because...
Thank you for your chat, bro. We're going live every day of 2026, so make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, become a member, throw in a super chat. It helps the channel.
You know, like, you went through 5 rounds together and stuff like that. Well, you...
Yeah, Sean had like, what was it, 140 significant strikes, while Khamzat had like 90.
Kind of happy that Khamzat was willing to...
But I wasn't happy with how much Sean Strickland was getting hit in the face. He rarely gets hit that much.
Watch the beef with you too?
Yeah, no, I mean, again, you guys... I go fucking so hard, everybody, and there's always truth to what I say, and there's always, you know, there's always truth to what I say. But at the end of the day, man, all the hate's out of me. I need the hate battery recharged, so I need a couple of days. But funny story, you guys want to hear something funny?
Oh yeah, this dude is funny. My oh my. All right, we are back. Thank you so much for that one. Appreciate it. Oh, he's still going. Or he's not. Where is he still going? There. I see. Got it. We're back. That's right, buddy. We are back. I just got back and I spilled this drink on me. And I was like, oh man, gotta go wash myself again. Wild. Your dad, you can't properly defend your head if you're trying to stop the takedown mixed. MMA arts blend the best bits. Yeah. Yeah, man, he took a beating. He definitely took a beating. What a fight it was. It was wild. There's so many people so excited that he won too. So excited. All right, so allegedly, let's see how we're looking. Sounding all right? Good. Iran is out of options. What is going on over here, y'all?
Waiting the Iranian response to the draft peace agreement to end the Iran conflict. And it comes as the U.S. military strikes.
Yeah, he definitely had to stand up a lot for that fight. Chimaev is not an easy opponent. That was definitely a tough one. Very technical as well. And you see at the very end, Chimaev was like, all right, let's do this like what Holloway and Gaethje does. You know, they stand in the middle of the ring and they just throw haymakers, you know, to see what happens. And then Chimaev goes for a takedown. And Sean was thinking to himself, he's like, man, if I lose this fight because of this, I'm gonna be so angry. And he didn't. So there you go. But it wasn't. It was a close fight, that's for sure. Both incredible athletes.
2 more Iranian ships that were caught violating the blockade Friday amid a fragile ceasefire. Let's go live now to Lucas Tomlinson. He is in Dubai with the very latest on this these peace talks that are kind of at a standstill right now.
That's right. We're still waiting on that response, Aisha. Now, all was calm today in the UAE after 3 different missile and drone attacks from Iran earlier this week, and after U.S. destroyers came under attack in the Strait of Hormooz on 2 separate occasions. On the latter, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said U.S. forces launched a counterattack and explained why.
Of course we fired back at them. They were shooting at us. That's what I would expect to do. Only stupid countries don't shoot back when you're shot at, and we're not a stupid country. If they threaten Americans, they're going to get blown up. I mean, that's how much clearer can you be than that?
And a senior British official telling our own Brett Baer the UK is getting in on the act.
What an amazing ship, man. What an amazing ship. Very cool.
Action dispatching a Type 45 destroyer to the region. HMS Dragon, one of only about 3 destroyers that are.
This is a very cool shot. So they did this with a time lapse. And it looks very smooth, but very fast.
They're seaworthy right now, has air defense capability, but cannot launch land
And you can tell it's a time-lapse clip because it's kind of stuttery on this side.
and attack missiles like our destroyers fire those Tomahawk cruise missiles. And the French have sent their only
We got
aircraft carrier
JJ
to the
Love
Red Sea.
jumping in on the chat. She's saying, JJ Love Bree is saying, I guess there are a couple. Democrats are the biggest threat to America. Do y'all agree with that? Do y'all agree with that? And for the Dems, we got an emoji for you. And there it is, a little septum. And for the Trump supporters, we got a Trump emoji. We got a MAGA emoji. There you go. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, become a member, throw in a super chat if you want. We're going live every day of 2026.
After a recent transit through the Suez Canal.
Fluff Daddy, how you doing, buddy?
Not clear what her ultimate destination is, Aisha, but her jets could be welcomed to help.
There you go. Your dad says Island Man class is the biggest danger. Ooh, close call, close call. Some might even say that the Island class is what inspires the Democrats to act the way they do.
Open the strait and get some of the more than 1,500 commercial ships stranded in the Persian Gulf with more than 20,000 seafarers aboard, getting them through the Strait of Hormooz. And late this week, 3 U.S. Navy guided missile destroyers came under attack for the second time this week, this time on an outbound transit of the strait. U.S. forces then launched a counterattack to destroy.
Yeah, I don't want to. I want to keep it as PG as possible. Just finding the truth over here.
Destroy those missile and drone launch sites, as well as Iran's toll booth on
Yeah, MAGA's not perfect, 100%.
Qasem Island. And on Friday, a single F-18 Super Hornet, a Rhino as the pilots call it, single-handedly disabled 2 empty Iranian oil tankers trying to run the blockade, going to guns to do it using a 20-millimeter cannon. And the U.S. Navy says this blockade remains in effect. 58 commercial ships have been turned away, and 4 oil tankers have been disabled as we await these peace talks with the Iranians. Aisha?
Okay, Lucas Tomlinson live for us. Lucas, thank you very much.
Are you optimistic about Iranian response to your proposal? Well, we'll see what happens. Look, they have no military. They have not a lot left. We'll see what happens.
So
How you doing, Angel? Good to see you.
We are still waiting
Welcome.
for an answer from Iran. Meantime, President Trump says new retaliatory strikes on Iranian targets this week are just a, quote, love tap. For more, let's...
We got Fluff Daddy saying woke needs to go back to sleep or they have no chance when the silent majority votes.
bring in House Intelligence Committee Chairman, Arkansas Congressman Rick Crawford. Chairman, great to have you on. I want to get your read on this moment that we're in right now.
Aaron Meyer says, I can't wait to return to all of these specific channels. I follow all of them just so I can come back after the 26 election to laugh. See you then, guys. There you go. There you go. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, turn on those notifications. Going live every day of 2026. Become a member. Throw in a super chat. Helps the channel.
Right now, we haven't heard anything back from Iran, at least no public announcements from Iran or from the White House. How do you read this?
No gods, no masters. 357 says, turn down the deal because on the 14th, he is meeting with XI. That meeting will determine the future of the Middle East. Yeah, we'll see what happens after the 14th with those two gentlemen. Yeah, what do you guys think? What's going to happen? Hopefully, though, there's going to be a resolution. Hopefully. You can always hope for peace.
Well, I think first you need to recognize President Trump has shown a pretty amazing level of forbearance here. I mean, he's done an awful lot to give them plenty of options to avoid any kind of military strikes. So we'll see what happens. The Iranians have run out of options as it applies to their ability to strike us, but at any scale. So it'll be interesting to see, how they respond.
The foreign minister of Iran said yesterday, I believe, that the Iranians would not bow to U.S. pressure, and he was talking about the military blockade that continues to be enforced, leading to some skirmishes, really, in the strait. Do you think that Iran isn't going to be willing to make a deal as long as we've got our military blocking their ports?
Well, I think they need to come to terms with the fact that they don't own the Strait of Hormuz.
Right.
I know they think they have a claim to it, but the reality is that's an international waterway. It's an international choke point that they have chosen to try to impede. And everybody in the world ought to be concerned about this, and particularly the Europeans. I'm encouraged, as you mentioned earlier, the UK is actually stepping up and finally getting in the mix here. But I mean, the heavy lifting has been done by the United States under President Donald Trump's leadership. But the reality is the Omanis and the Emiratis have every bit as much of a claim to the Strait of Hormuz as the Iranians do. And it's in their interest and ours to resume the freedom of navigation through the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah, but they're not helping, right? I mean, these NATO allies aren't really coming to our aid. And one of them is Italy. And Secretary of State Marco.
Well-dressed gal right there. Just want to give a little shout out, a little compliment. Great color combination.
Rubio was just there meeting with the Prime Minister, Giorgia Meloni, and we just pulled troops out of Germany. Here's a back and forth with Marco Rubio on whether or not we got to pull our troops out of Italy, too. Watch.
Can you say in your meeting with Prime Minister Meloni whether you talked about the possibility of withdrawing U.S. troops from Italy as well as the possibility of the United States withdrawing from NATO altogether?
No, we didn't discuss any specifics like that, and that's a decision for the president to make. It's a decision every president makes. The fact of the matter, though, is, and I said, publicly, and I've said repeatedly, I've been a strong supporter of NATO throughout my career in the Senate and even now.
So would you support us pulling our troops out of more NATO countries like Italy?
I'm not sure that we need to pull out of NATO altogether, but I think it's worth a conversation to say, hey, look, when are you going to step up? We've stepped up. We've stepped up in Ukraine to help protect Europe, and did so when many NATO.
See, that's the interesting thing. It's just it's a very sensitive situation. So whenever you pull troops out of, like they say, Germany, what does that do to the relationship between the United States and Germany? Does it weaken the relationship, or what type of tactic is this in pulling them away from Italy? Interesting. Every action has a reaction, right? And what's the reaction going to be?
Countries weren't doing that, so we have always answered the call as
add
applies
pressure,
to NATO.
Chairman. But to add pressure, which I think is what's going on here, would you support?
So maybe Germany already ruined the relationship between the United States. Valid point, right?
Pulling more troops out of these NATO countries. I think there was 5,000 service members out of Germany, something like that in Italy.
I'm not sure that that's necessary in Italy. We'll let the president make that decision, but pulling troops out or repositioning is a different consideration. You could easily reposition troops into a country like Poland, for example, which is a fantastic ally to the United States and wants to help and does when we ask for it, and they're there for us. Other countries, we're seeing now the UK, as indicated earlier, they're showing up, but it's kind of, too little too late. I mean, what kind of contribution are they really making? Are they doing this to try to save face? And the reality is there's an economic consideration to this as well. I mean, if you take U.S. military out of countries like Germany, Italy, the UK, it's going to have a huge negative impact on their economy as well as their national security. So it's more than just a simple security decision. It's also an economic security decision.
Well, it's having an impact on gas prices here at home.
Wisdom of the righteousness, says Portugal here. Do you need wine? We have a lot. Yeah, bring the wine. Bring all the wine. Let us rejoice.
For Americans, and Democrats are pouncing on that. This is former Vice President.
There you go. Ralph X 7311 says they won't support us. We should not support them.
Kamala Harris saying that Russia is the big winner here in this war. Watch.
You want to know who's the big winner on the Iranian war? Russia. Because of the oil issue, what has he done? He's lifted sanctions on Russia. You know what that means? They're making money to sell oil that otherwise they were prevented from selling. What else does it mean? We're sending artillery, ammunition, air defense that otherwise would be going to Ukraine.
I'll get your response to that, Chairman.
We're sending artillery, ammunition, air defense that otherwise would be going to Ukraine.
I'll get your response to that, Chairman.
Yeah, she's still trying to be relevant. But look, the reality is that the oil prices impact everybody. But as the previous administration Energy Secretary Granholm said, the president has no control over gas prices. And how that applies to Biden and not to Trump, I'm not sure. But the rules always change when the Democrats are in power. And when Republicans are in power, there's a different set of standards there. So the reality is that everybody ought to be concerned about what's taking place in Iran. But we're not making a calculation about the overall supply chain when we think about, does Venezuelan supply now offset that 20% that is not moving through the Strait of Hormooz? And by the way, we'll resume traffic in the Strait of Hormooz quickly. That will happen within a matter of days, maybe weeks. So I'm not too worried about that. I know it's a pain right now to pay these extra gas prices, but we're already starting to see them come down a little bit, at least in my neck of the woods. They've been fluctuating, in about a 30 to 40 cent range. They're back down on the low end of that range now. So I think we're starting to see a correction.
Okay, Chairman Crawford, great to have you as always.
I'm starting to see a correction. I just saw a video with $8 per gallon gas in Los Angeles, California. So wild. So wild. Yeah. My goodness. Yeah. Cackling Kamala. Haven't heard that one before. All right, so we got a request from a member. Make sure you all like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, become a member, throw in a super chat. And this is Christopher Hitchens.
Bill Maher had a
with Mr. Bill Maher. All right, let's see how our verticals look. Oh, this one's way out of whack. Gotta fix this one. Sorry, chat. All right, let's check it out.
A little bit of a hard time with this one.
They're fighting us over there because we're over there.
In 1788, when the United States was barely a country, it was having its sailors taken as slaves by the Barbary states, and its ships stopped, its crews carried off into slavery. We estimate 1.5 million European and American slaves taken between 1750 and 1815. Jefferson and Adams went to their ambassador in London and said, why do you do this to us? The United States has never had a quarrel with the Muslim world of any kind. We weren't in the Crusades. We weren't in the war in Spain. Why do you do this to our people and our ships? And the ambassador said very plainly, because the Quran gives us permission to do so, because you are infidels. But Islamic fundamentalism is not created by American democracy. It's a lie to say so, and it excuses those who are the real criminals, and it blames us for the attacks made upon us.
There you go. There you go. Do we have a clip at the very end of Bill's face? There we go. That's Bill getting schooled right there, buddy. Who ran the slave ships? We got Eric Klein saying it's $6 in California. That video I saw also looked like kind of a advertisement video, so I don't know how accurate it actually is. Yeah. So allegedly now Silicon Valley giants are turning into war contractors. How is this happening?
Military-industrial complex, that deep tie-in between big wars and big industries, has evolved into a
Luis Brum jumping in the chat saying mixing atheism with a drop of Z. Ionism.
military tech complex. Palantir, Anduril, Google. These tech companies are selling AI-powered, computer-guided weapon systems that are marketed as smart, safe, surgical.
Introducing the disruptor. Precision, autonomy, lethality.
Palantir supports our fighting forces.
But behind the gloss...
There you go. Palantir does help our fighting forces, right? I think this one's going to relate to that previous one. This is... okay, you can't see the lower one. I got to change that again. Okay. So up here we have the 2010 date, and down here the 2026 date.
They hit Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Bahrain, Kuwait. Nobody expected that. We were shocked.
A war with Iran would be a disaster. It is also perfectly within the capability of the Iranians to close the Straits of Hormooz at the gates of the Persian Gulf and drive the cost of oil up over $200 a barrel.
This was in 2010. Does that mean some of these things are planned or not planned? My.
Would probably destroy what's left of the global economy and the division of labor in global trade, and all for basically a policy that comes out of Tel Aviv.
There you go. There you go.
And all for...
They called it.
lies a dangerous truce. Escalation, instability, and an increasing number of unregulated tech companies that see big money in big wars.
We know it's much more valuable than people understand. We know we're going to continue to augment that value, and we're going to get paid along the way.
We will save taxpayers hundreds of billions of dollars a year by making tens of billions of dollars a year.
The tech spin doctors call it innovation. In war zones, it looks like next-level militarization. It's moving at startup speed, and business is booming.
Yeah, as you know, the United States is the hottest country ever, according to Mr. POTUS, Mr. Donald J. Trump. Gotta add that little super, yeah, if you want to add a super chat, become a member.
Military spending is skyrocketing around the world. In 2024, it hit a record, $2.7 trillion. Dominating this space is the United States, pouring in $997 billion, or around 37% of the world's total. That's more than the next 9 countries combined. And it's about to soar even higher.
The military is something that we have to build, and we have to be strong because you got a lot of bad forces out there now.
Thank you, Joe Not Exotic. Appreciate it, buddy. Thank you.
April 2025, President Donald Trump announced plans to push the Pentagon budget to a jaw-dropping
$1 trillion, the largest in the world, largest ever.
Then, in January 2026, he proposed $1.5 trillion in defense spending to create a dream military. It was a reinforcement, if anyone needed it, of one of the fundamental pillars of the United States.
Military-industrial complex. It was a reinforcement, or it was kind of planned, he's a builder. He likes to plan things, right?
Industrial complex.
No, I'm not knocking him at all. It's just kind of like, give me the truth. How hard is it? Just give me the truth, right? That's what we're here for, trying to find the truth.
Military-industrial complex.
The military-industrial complex is central for making sense of
Eric Klein says gas should be about $1 a gallon. It's a scam.
a battle-ravaged world where the US wields immense power. At the core of the military-industrial complex is the so-called Iron Triangle. It maps a powerful, self-reinforcing loop between the Pentagon, Congress, and the arms industry. Here's how it works.
The Pentagon makes a case for the US government to sign.
Eric Lopez saying, oh, it's all planned. Right now, they're trying to switch the powers who are in charge, non-hostile like, instead of having another world war or economic crisis. Favors and who could rule.
Sign off on ever-increasing
Seems like
defence budgets. Sometimes it's in the name of self-defence, sometimes to keep pace with rival powers.
We are now facing two global powers, China and Russia, each with significant military capabilities, both who intend to fundamentally change the current rules-based order.
Each approval by Congress unlocks vast sums of money, and elected officials can talk up big business contracts and new jobs being created.
Some of these state-of-the-art technologies are developed in Michigan's 9th District, and I was proud to ensure initiatives in this year's bill to bolster our national security and our workforce.
Arms manufacturers rake in the money and reinforce their role in national security. They manufacture, develop, and advocate for ever-evolving weaponry. And the cycle loops over and over.
To understand this, you need to understand the way the military-industrial complex, both old and new, has essentially networked itself into every single corner of the country.
Roberto Gonzalez is a cultural anthropologist whose work explores the transforming political economy of war.
They've done this over decades, from the post-World War II period to the present, by making sure that at least a few of the weapons components purchased every year are manufactured in every congressional district throughout the country. So whether a congressional person is a Republican or a Democrat, they tend to really favor the greater budget because it ensures that their constituents will continue to have jobs.
The new jobs, particularly in manufacturing, that are going to help not only the state of Michigan, but also the Pentagon and our military organizations.
The investments are going to keep Utah at the forefront of national defense for a long time to come, and that's an important...
Yeah, we just reviewed the 60 Minutes Double B video, and that's what the current situation is, you know. It's and I did not vote, so it's, yeah, out of 757 votes, 74% do not support that man. We're going live every day of 2026, so make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, throw in a super chat, become a member. It helps the channel survive.
Industry in our state.
By understanding how these complex systems involve thousands of components and how their production is distributed nationwide, you start to see how it works and just how massive the complex really is.
Everybody who makes decisions about what to spend on the military profits. So there's an economic incentive to spend more.
Bill Hartung is an expert on US military spending and arms control.
Defense contracts like Lockheed Martin are very powerful. They push Congress and the president to build weapons as a money-making scheme, not because there's some carefully thought-out plan.
Dude, those jets are so awesome. Man, what in the world?
Military spending and arms control.
Defense contracts like Lockheed Martin are very powerful. They push...
Absolutely awesome. Incredible machines.
Congress and the president to build weapons as a money...
How comfortable do you think those things are? Wild.
Making scheme. Not because there's some carefully thought out plan how to defend the country.
We're leveraging our position as the largest aerospace and defense business.
Make electric jets. Man. They might in the future. Those might be absolutely fast because they won't have that ice lag. That would be wild.
In the world, to be a pathfinder.
Yeah, we already have electric jets, man. They're called drones, right?
For what we call 21st century security.
Sometimes members don't agree, but they lose their seats because their opponents say...
Yeah, I've seen one of them hover. Did you see that one that got into an accident when it was hovering? And the guy, like, parachuted out of it. He got ejected out of his seat and then parachuted. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Well, they're not serving the interests of our district. They're not bringing home enough military. So even when the Pentagon wants to get rid of something, usually allies of the industry and Congress put it back in the budget because they have military factories in their districts.
There's this widespread investment in keeping this thing rolling. The parameters of debate and dissent are so narrowly circumscribed that the question of what are we spending this on and why literally can never be asked.
Anna Stavrianakis researches and teaches on the arms trade, militarism, and global insecurities.
Most people understand the idea of a power elite, where top figures in the military, government, and arms industry are deeply enmeshed, united by a shared interest in a high-tech, elite-controlled economy. But what the broader public doesn't always understand is that they are growing poorer as a result of these decisions and increasingly shut out of any real say in how those decisions are made.
Yeah, some of those pilots are just so technical, and they know how to get through the air so well.
Over the past 2 decades, the center of US defense contracting has shifted from Washington's Capital Beltway to Silicon Valley. Increasingly, the Pentagon directs its spending towards tech giants like Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Palantir, Oracle, and IBM.
Yeah, so like everything you say or search on your phone is all easy to find from third parties, which is very wild, very wild.
Between 2019 and 2020, US military and intelligence agencies handed out at least $53 billion in contracts to major tech firms. And everybody knows that the US is willing to spend a lot more when it comes to military tech.
Donald Trump's Golden Dome initiative is the latest and most expensive defense system ever imagined.
Once fully constructed, the Golden Dome will be capable of intercepting missiles.
Yeah, it's true. There's no real privacy now, but the good thing about that is you can much more easily solve crime, you know, so that will deter people from committing crimes. But also, it seems like some of these situations that are unsolved, you know, it's like, what's the real reason they're unsolved? What are they stalling it for?
Even if they are launched from other sides of the world, and even if they are launched from space.
It's supposed to intercept everything from long-range intercontinental ballistic missiles to hypersonic weapons to drones big and small. And the final cost of this all-purpose system is unknown. President Trump has tasked the Space Force with building it in just 3 years.
Golden Dome missile defense shield to protect our homeland, all made in the USA.
With a price tag of $175 billion.
But this is going to be really good for the defense industry in my state. There's so much money involved here. There are going to be a lot of American companies involved in making the Golden Dome.
But many of the key technologies don't even exist yet. So that 3-year deadline is likely wishful thinking.
Hypersonic missiles, ballistic missiles, and advanced cruise missiles, all of them will be knocked out of the air.
To be more honest, they'd acknowledge that there's no miracle weapon or perfect technological fix that's going to save us.
That wouldn't be a revelation to anyone who has paid attention to the military-industrial complex in the US. Trump's Golden Dome shield is just the latest iteration of an old idea. During the Cold War, there was massive spending on another version of a national missile shield.
It will provide us with the capability to respond at reasonable cost and within adequate time to any further growth in Soviet forces.
There was this whole argument that we had a missile gap. We're behind the Soviet Union, but this turned out to be completely fabricated. But the intelligence community, the defense contractors, many prominent senators really pushed that theme. Reagan was going to have his impenetrable Star Wars shield that would make it impossible for the Soviets to nuke targets in the United States.
This is a strategic program that America can
Chad USA called that one.
Afford.
He was big on lasers in space, which was sold to him by Edward Teller, the father of the H-bomb. They even had pictures of this thing on the cover of Time magazine, but they were just artist conceptions, not actual weapons. But it turns out there are all kinds of technical issues. They never did come up with a working version of this so-called impenetrable shield. They still spent $10 to $20 billion on programs to defeat missiles, and the mythology remained that it was the buildup of weapons that brought down the Soviet Union. So a lot of the pattern of what we're seeing now was set back then.
That pattern is applied to each new threat that gets identified. Take, for instance, the China scare.
Threats from China.
China could control the future of artificial intelligence.
We've got this very fierce competition going with China, and the consequence.
Yeah, it shows the Chad.
Of this direct pipeline to the Chinese government.
China's AI ambitions are clear to anyone paying attention. The country was projected to spend up to $98 billion on AI by 2025, fueling nearly 2 million AI.
We got Trailer Shift jumping in on the chat saying allies don't put your people on the front lines. Allies don't start wars in your name. and allies don't take advantage of you. And Sule85 adding to that saying, allies don't lie. There you go. But there is lie in allies. The word. We're going live every day of 2026, so make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, become a member, throw in a super chat. Let's see what's happening with these Silicon Valley giants.
Focused organizations and transforming tens of thousands of factories. Its defense budget, at $245 billion and growing, is driving a rapid military tech upgrade from AI-powered battlefield tools to autonomous systems. Reports even say China's ordered 1 million AI-enabled drones and unveiled more than 30 advanced weapons, including robotic dogs, swarm tech, and underwater drones. The competition with China, both real and imagined, has triggered new levels of spending on surveillance tech, AI-enabled weapons, and more next-generation arms.
There are two things driving this tech push. One is that some genuinely believe it will give the U.S. a decisive edge, even though that's been proven wrong time and again. The other is marketing, companies pitching their tech as the key to winning or deterring war with China. This ignores reality. China has a massive economy and serious technical expertise. They won't be intimidated. They'll just run their own arms race.
I think we need to push back against those claiming the U.S. is being overrun by China's AI advances. I'm not saying that China hasn't made major technological progress, including in AI. They have. But let's not forget some people are exaggerating these arguments for all kinds of reasons tied to vested interests in pushing the technology forward as quickly as possible. The fear is that we must get there before China does, and that we must prepare for an inevitable war.
Growing tensions between the U.S. and China now extending to hundreds of miles above the Earth.
I think at the moment China is winning.
The greatest competitor.
All right, so we got Eric Klein jumping on the chat saying Reagan, a Republican, gave illegal immigrants amnesty and started this mess pandering for the Hispanic vote. You got hosed. So yeah, Reagan signed the 1986 Immigration Reform Act, amnesty for 3 million undocumented folks here, pre-1982, mostly Latinos. The bipartisan deal legalized them, ban hiring illegals, boost borders. Reagan called it humane for shadow dwellers. Does it seem like some Democrats are trying to do that now? And here's a twist. Pandering for votes? No. Reagan barely mentioned immigration. No big Hispanic push then. They weren't swing voters yet. It flopped. Borders weak. Employer rules gutted. Illegals surged post 86. Mess starter. Critics say amnesty lured more. 11 million plus today. So true on amnesty. GOP did it. False on pandering. Reagan aimed to fix, but enforcement failed. So Reagan, what would he say, tear down this wall, except the border one. Yeah, thanks for the chat, buddy.
Competitive threat to the dominance of U.S.-led AI.
I think what's happening right now with the escalating rhetoric and fears about an AI arms race between the U.S. and China is fulfilling part of the ideological work as well. Just a different superpower now to focus on. Not the Soviet Union or shadowy terrorist organizations, but instead, China.
Eric Klein says he wanted cheap illegal labor, and he was there firsthand. So if he's there, you gotta take his word for it, right?
The AI race with China has got
Thank you for your chat, buddy.
US tech firms and tycoons lining up, eager to do battle. At the front of the line is Eric Schmidt, Google's former CEO. He has chaired both the Defense Innovation Board, set up in 2016 under Obama, and the National Security Commission on AI, an advisory body during Trump's first term. Schmidt has warned that the US is facing a new Sputnik moment, referencing the panic of 1957 when Russia launched the first Earth-orbiting artificial satellite, Sputnik. And he's been evangelical about needing to pour serious money into AI to stay ahead of China.
It's pretty simple. By 2020, they will have caught up. By 2025, they will be better than us. And by 2030, they will dominate the industries of AI. This is the moment where the government collectively with private industry needs to say, these technologies are important.
Through numerous op-eds and commentaries, Schmidt has repeatedly stoked fears that America is losing the
And Trailer Shift also called it, saying for cheap labor. He agrees.
technological war to China. And he isn't a lone voice. Palmer Luckey, founder of the military tech company Anduril, has spoken forcefully about regulations on AI crippling American war readiness. Serial tech investor Peter Thiel called out Google and Microsoft for hiring Chinese researchers to work on their AI products. Alex Karp, the CEO of Palantir, one of the most notorious tech and surveillance companies in the US, declared that America's Oppenheimer moment had arrived, warning that any attempt to slow down AI-enabled weapons development could spell the downfall of the US and other democracies.
We want people who want to be on the side of the West, making the West a better societies, more able to defend themselves, protect data.
Whenever you see people with hair like this, what do you think? Like, Albert Einstein had some wild hair in one of his pictures, but I don't know. Just kind of fascinating.
Protection, and that's not for everyone.
I think the company.
Joel Exotic saying that guy is a POS, and he's talking about this guy right here. Oh, that's unrelated.
I think the companies are hungry for Pentagon research money because then they don't have to take the risk themselves. And for some reason, even though the taxpayers create the technology,
oh, is that what it is, Fluff Daddy?
the companies control it once it's developed. So the government's beholden to them. If there's a problem in the future, they can charge whatever they want to fix it. And even when they're crying that there's not enough money to build the weapons we need, they've been spending billions and billions of dollars buying their own stock to bid up the prices. And once they jack up the prices, they make even more money.
We're in a situation where, as a nation, we have committed ourselves to a permanent war economy. What this does is that more and more players in the economy are going to be tempted to jump on board and try to get a piece of the war industry action. And that's what's been happening over the past decade with the tech sector. They're all cashing in now, growing the military tech complex. So when you had all the tech bros donating millions of dollars to Donald Trump's presidential inauguration fund, and then you had them all lining up there in front of him, to some people it was a revelation, but to me it was just a mask that was being ripped off. Those who knew anything at all about how these tech titans operate and how they've locked themselves into the military surveillance network weren't surprised at all.
Tech billionaires wield enormous clout, and their power is growing. However, they've not been able to completely silence skeptics and those sounding the alarm.
Like retired US Air Force Lieutenant General Jack Shanahan, former head of the Defense Department's Joint Artificial Intelligence Center. In 2023, he wrote, "It feels at times like we are dangerously close to making the same kind of erroneous bomber-missile gap assessment with AI that we did with the Soviet Union in the early 1960s. And to be fair, I'm not exactly blameless here."
That last line is telling. Shanahan was a key driver behind the US military's rapid AI adoption, including the infamous 2017 Project Maven, which used AI to analyze drone footage and speed up target identification. Shanahan's concerns are echoed by many others. Some of them have seen the military from the inside. Others are seeing the tech industry from the inside, and they don't like the view.
If you were working for Lockheed Martin and building a weapon system, you knew exactly what you were doing, and you wouldn't have signed up unless you were already on board. But I can tell you that most of the data scientists, programmers, and mathematicians designing today's algorithms didn't think they were getting into weapons work when they pursued degrees in computer science or software engineering. Now, many are having a moment of reflection asking, hold on, what are we doing, and how can we push back? Take the 2017 Project Maven protests. In that case, leaked emails revealed a sizable contract between Google, whose slogan had long been "Don't be evil," and the Pentagon. Young and often naive, many engineers suddenly realized, oh my God, I might be working on weapon systems or an AI-powered surveillance tool. In response, Google executives said, we didn't mean to keep you out of the loop, and introduced the first AI ethics code for that company. The AI principles included a commitment not to develop technologies intended for weapons, surveillance, or human rights violations. But when employees protested again in 2024,
I'm a Google Cloud software engineer, and I refuse to build technology that powers genocide, apartheid, or surveillance.
Instead of engaging or finding compromise, the executives fired the 50 most active protesters. And I think that raises a really interesting question. What role does any worker play in the military-industrial complex? And to what extent can they push back or mobilize politically against these incredibly powerful forces?
Ethics, and the lack of it, aren't the only issue to have whipped up anxiety. Tech-enhanced weapons are racing onto the battlefield with a speed and force that has far outstripped regulation. I'm at the annual meeting of the Association of the United States Army, the biggest
One love. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you.
event in North America focused on the US Army and ground forces. With more than 44,000 attendees, 750 exhibits, and delegations from 92 countries, this three-day event is a showcase of military might. Walking around, you see everything from tanks and drones to battlefield simulations and advanced gear for soldiers. This is where military strategy and industry come together on a massive scale. And big tech are watching closely because this is the gold rush moment, with few limits between so-called weapons innovation and massive defense profits.
I think some people imagine military AI as, watch out, the robots are coming for us, physically with guns, Terminator style. But that's not the real threat. The real danger is the rapid adoption of tech tools on the battlefield without proper testing. Because that's how Silicon Valley culture works. Move fast and break things. And that's what venture capital expects. That's what startups have always done. They put products out there because the goal, ultimately, is to turn a profit. It's not to turn out great technology. It's to set loose technology. It's about inflating the value of the stock or company as fast as possible, then cashing out, either by getting bought out or going public.
If you look at what we know about the Israeli military's use of AI, specifically things like the Lavender program and the Where's Daddy program, it's a terrible but important example for two main reasons. First, it exponentially amplifies the Israeli military's ability to kill Palestinians. These systems track men assumed to be potential militants and then target them when they return home, deliberately timing strikes to also kill their families. That's not just horrifying, it's a flagrant violation of international law. Second, it shows how AI doesn't...
Just absolutely wild. So wild. How could they moderate it so it can't be used to extinguish people? That would be very cool, right? If it could only be used for good, that would be amazing. We got Goop Ender saying Russia is cooked. They failed very bad. What do you mean? Please explain, buddy. Thank you for your chat. Victoria says the humanities.
just make killing easier. It makes it faster, broader, and harder to control. But we need to remember also that the Israeli desire to kill Palestinians is not new. The basic settler colonial desire of the Israeli military to eradicate the Palestinians goes back decades.
Israeli security forces shall have the responsibility of fighting terrorism everywhere west of the...
Oh, you guys are right. We just did the Netanyahu video.
Jordan.
He does look like he lost a lot of weight. He looks completely different here, man. Way different.
There is no other way to protect Israel.
And I think that's what we miss when we focus on the tech. We miss the history and the politics, especially the violence, when we get fascinated by newness alone.
That fascination is exactly what the military tech complex is banking on. The hope is that the hype around shiny, supposedly smart weapons will convince taxpayers that their money is buying more effective national security.
One Love says the initial selling point always sounds good until there's a malfunction. That's right, man. That is correct.
So what are you guys doing to take advantage of this? Because it's my understanding there's all sorts of new programs to fast track these unbelievable technologies.
In reality, the military budget in the US is bloated and mismanaged, with gaping holes in the system that allow for corruption and waste. it has also meant that key departments are left fighting to get as much as they can of what's left of government funds. A number of studies have looked at what could happen if even a portion of the US military budget were redirected. In one example, economists Robert Poland and Heidi Garrett-Peltier at UMass Amherst crunched the numbers on what $1 billion investment would generate in terms of employment across industries, from defence to healthcare, renewables and education. The results? Education came out on top, generating 26,700 jobs. Healthcare followed with 17,200. Defence came in dead last, creating just 11,200 jobs.
If you want to create jobs, almost any other use of the money is better. The problem is, if you have a job in a defense plant or in military tech, they tell you, oh, we're going to invest in this new thing. There's a leap of faith. Are they really going to invest in it? Is it going to be a job I'm equipped for? It's going to be where I live? Am I going to have to move all over the country? That uncertainty creates a kind of status quo. Then the fact that the Congress people want the existing systems, since they're reliable as a source of revenue and jobs in their districts.
If you're spending money on the military, you're not spending it on other things that are better for people and could also be economically more productive. Defence is supported by a massive state-led industrial policy. It's just that governments don't like to talk about that because they like to talk in neoliberal fashion about, well, it's just the free market. It's not the free market at all. The military and defense...
What are these dudes building over here, man? What in the world? The huge cylinders. Looking dangerous. James Barry has an idea on U.S. defense spending, saying they need to cut U.S. defense spending next year by 5%. We're going live every day of 2026, so make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, become a member so you get that little badge and your name turns green. And you get access to the private live streams that teach you a lot of things. And send a super chat if you want. Jason Martin, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Good to see ya. Good morning.
Are being shaped by an active state-led industrial policy.
Oh, she just said that, right?
Liberal fashion about, well, it's just the free market. It's not the free market at all. The military and defence are being shaped by an active state-led industrial policy. If you can do that for defence, why can't you do it for anything else? You absolutely could.
The US faces countless problems. People living paycheck to paycheck, underfunded schools, and communities just trying to get by. But tackling those issues isn't easy in a culture so steeped in the rhetoric of militarism. Also, as the military pours more resources into AI and autonomous weapons, it pulls funding from basics like troop training and troop readiness. Betting on high-tech solutions for a possible war with China in the next 5 or 10 years, or maybe sooner, could also leave the US more vulnerable to threats from smaller groups like Al-Qaeda or ISIS, who will find ways around drones and robots. That's why we need sharp analysts to identify real, substantive threats, not the exaggerated ones executives keep repeating.
The rapid ramping up of the military tech complex has serious ramifications.
We got Lava Turtle jumping in the chat saying, do you think we're gonna go over 40 trillion in debt this year? Hopefully not. Hopefully not.
It is hypercharging a global arms race, heightening tensions and draining money away from vital services that actually improve people's lives, like healthcare, education, and climate solutions. At the end of the day, this system isn't built for safety, it is built for profit. It runs on obese budgets, close ties between government and private tech corporations, and a steady flow of contracts that see war be turned into a business stream.
That's the worst part. War being turned into a business stream. If there was zero money in war, do you think there would be any wars? Or just a few arguments here and there, right? Yeah, Jason Martin, like everything else, absolutely, just like absolutely everything else. Goodness gracious. We're going live every day of 2026. So make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications. Oh my God, be amazing. Like One Love, 1321. What a man with that $5 USD super chat saying, thank you for your time. Appreciate you. One Love is amazing. Veronica, can we come over here and show One Love some love? I hope so.
Thank you for your support.
I love you. Wishing you and your family the best.
What a man, dude. What a man. That's incredible. Thank you so much. Appreciate you, buddy. Everybody, be like One Love. One Love is helping keep this channel alive.
Rather than a last resort. That's the immense power of the military tech complex. It profits most when nobody's really questioning the cost.
Technology has its place. Why not put our best technical minds to work creating affordable alternatives to fossil fuels, a public health system focused on the prevention of major outbreaks of disease, an educational system that prepares students to be engaged citizens, not just cogs in an economic machine. Reaching such goals will require transforming our democracy, or what's left of it, so that leadership serves the public interest, not its own economic interests. Also, government policy would no longer be distorted to meet the emotional needs of narcissistic demagogues, or to satisfy the desires of delusional tech moguls. By all means, let's unite around a common purpose. But that purpose shouldn't be more efficient ways to build killing machines in the service of an outmoded quest for global dominance.
Yeah, if we stop them from making money, it's not going to happen. War is going to be gone. Oi Oi says war has been business since the beginning. 100%, man. 100%. Yeah, Veronica loves you. One love. That's 100% accurate. Kibaru, yes, that was absolutely. We're trying to find the truth, and you're not going to find the truth by me lying to you, bro. I'm going to tell you the truth. Fluff Daddy says libs destroyed the public schools. This DEI BS too made us non-competitive, marginalizing everybody. Fluff Daddy, you know what would be great is if we just put so much effort into our youth and the next generations that they're the leaders of the world, you know, and for a good reason, you know, not evil, but good, absolutely good. Barcy says Democrats are obsessed with aborting, mutilating, and S3Xing children. Unfortunately, man. Some of them are, Barcy. Some of them are. All right, so allegedly, striking survey finds global perceptions of U.S. have fallen below Russia. Let's see what's going on.
New York Times chief White House correspondent and MS Now contributor Peter Buker, host of the Bulwark podcast, and MS Now political analyst Tim Miller, Washington Post foreign affairs columnist and MS Now contributor David Ignatius, and Washington Post columnist.
DEI did not earn it.
And senior fellow for the National Security Studies at the Council on Foreign Relations, Max Boot. Peter, let's talk about this peace deal, this proposal. Marco Rubio said earlier today they're waiting on the Iranians. What is the latest?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, the Iranians are playing for time, clearly. You know, the president said a few days ago they had, I think, 48 hours to make a decision.
All right, let's check it out. Oi, oi.
And we've, I think, reached that point, and we haven't got a decision from Iran. And the truth is, this is not really a peace deal so much as an agreement to negotiate a peace deal, right? So the president has put out some of his priorities on this one-page list, but any actual peace deal would have to have a whole lot more details, a whole lot more specifics than anything we're talking about here. So the idea is to get to, a point where we can have a 30-day negotiation where they can work those things out. So even at this point, even if they were to agree to this, it would simply be extending, in effect, the ceasefire to then see if they can get returned to the table.
If you think of...
Thank you for your support. I love you. Wishing you and your family the best.
That was for One Love. Flashbacks. Good flashbacks. Someone said Palm Beach. What? Most dangerous place? Palm Beach? Eric Klein. Making us laugh. Thank you, buddy. Jason Martin says there are several of those for DEI, democratic evil intentions.
About how would you destroy the United States of America. I don't think that you destroy it by kinetic war. I don't think you nuke it. I don't think you send in troops. You divide them because there are more guns in this country. And I'm a gun owner and I'm a pro 2A guy. Don't ever try to take my damn guns. There are so many here that if there was an adversary that was successful in dividing us, so much so that...
Yeah, I think everyone loves Veronica, man. Veronica is everyone's weakness.
It actually ended up in kinetic war. You can't even send a country to come in here to aid. I spent 14 years in Iraq, Afghanistan, Yemen, all over the Middle East. They don't have half the damn guns that we have in this country. There are places there that you're dead if you go outside. And this here would be way worse. When the desperation sets in, people start getting hungry, cold, they need warm clothes, they need food, they need water, they need medication. Like when the system breaks down, this will be the most dangerous place in the entire world.
I 100% agree.
If you think about how would you...
If that happens, you know, he has a point. He definitely has a point. I hope it doesn't happen, obviously. I think no one wants that to happen, but it's very possible. Chad USA says he is not wrong. He is not wrong. More than China and Russia combined. Jason Martin says DEI and affirmative action would never be needed if racism never existed. Yeah. Unfortunately, they were used in the wrong way. There you go. Bart sees giving some pushback on that one. Oh, it's not the right short. Sorry. He says blame Democrats. Yeah, just blame any problems you have. Just blame Democrats. That doesn't work. Blame Trump. Blame somebody. Blame Double B. Just blame them. That's not the right way to do it. You gotta think a little critically. You gotta try to make the correct decisions. You know, not all Republicans are bad. Not all Democrats are bad. You gotta be very precise. Yeah, it is both sides, bro. 100%.
And put together something more comprehensive and more substantive.
What about the Iranian side, David Ignatius? Because there's been a lot of talk about how the Iranians don't...
For a second, it looked like this guy had one of those masks on. No, it's his head.
Want a deal. The Iranians are more hardline. A lot of chatter about how much harder line the new Ayatollah is. What do we know for sure about what the Iranians are looking for right now?
We don't know as much as we'd like, but from the conversations that I've had with people close to the negotiations, their impression is that the Iranian side is split. There was a meeting face-to-face in Islamabad several weeks ago.
Eric Klein says, G. Gordon Liddy, as a felon, I am prevented from having guns, but my wife has an extensive collection. That's funny.
The Speaker of the Iranian Parliament.
Bart C says, America barely survived the Biden disaster. There you go. And Oi says, blame the bankers.
Mohammad Ghalibaf was there. By the end of the meeting, there was generally a positive feeling, although no deal was reached. It appears then he was hit hard by criticism when he returned home from harder line members of the IRGC that's really running the government now in Tehran. My sense is that one thing the administration wants to do through back-channel contacts is to try to play off these different factions, looking for a group that's prepared to make a deal, that the U.S. is prepared to put quite a lot of money behind in terms of released impounded Iranian funds, end of sanctions. But I think given that split in Tehran, it's hard to make predictions now about how far they're going to be willing to move. As Peter Baker said earlier, they're playing for time. They think that Trump wants a ceasefire more than they do, needs one politically more than they do. So I think that's the reason for the delay. But perhaps by the end of today, we'll have an Iranian response and know better.
There has been reporting that I found pretty interesting lately coming from people who are pretty well sourced within Iran. One of them is a New York Times reporter that's been covering it, did a long conversation on the Daily talking about how much more transactional this, whatever this leadership, the current configuration is, how much more transactional it is likely to be than the old theocratic leadership, even if it's worse for the Iranian people. Then Tim Miller had a great conversation just the other day with Arash Azizi, and Arash was saying that he believes that there is more of a desire for a deal from the Iranians, and that the idea that the hardest of hardliners are the ones that are in control is belied by the evidence in front of us. So Tim,
you got No Name jumping in on the chat. How you doing, Nazim? Good to see you. Saying Trump does not care about making a deal with Iran. He wants higher oil prices. What would he want higher oil prices for? Thank you for your chat, buddy.
I found that conversation to be really enlightening, and it really pushed back against some.
We got Russell Dixon saying England's House of Lords is a think tank on how to manipulate America's taxpayers. You never know. Never know. Are you suggesting they have an incredible amount of control over the United States?
Some of our preconceived notions about the way this war has been going.
Yeah, I agree with that. Arash, who's from Iran, is so smart on this and has been covering him as a historian. And I think the point that he's trying to make is that the now dead Ayatollah Khamenei was simultaneously extremely ideological and extremely cautious, and did not want to be seen to be making any deals with this administration, and that led to this kind of Iran to the place where they were.
You got Tom saying no need for a deal, they need to surrender, talking about Iran. And Oi saying make tar and feathering popular again. Yeah, just imagine that. That would be so wild, man.
Before this war started, and that this new regime, when people say hard line, they might think of it kind of in the theocratic sense, or they might think about it in the negotiation.
Youssef, how you doing, buddy?
Sense, but I think that his point was, maybe a better way to put it, it's I'm paraphrasing, but it's hard-nosed, right? And and that they are going to want to be tougher about this, and maybe they would be willing to make a deal. The problem with that, as David Ignatius has laid out there, is there still isn't a clear person to make the deal, right? And I think that while
something reminds me. Remember that Trump video that we reviewed on our live a while ago, where it was a couple weeks ago, right after the Maduro Venezuela thing? He had maybe 12 of those top executives from the oil companies, and he was just all sitting around the table circling, chatting with these guys, televised. And I was thinking, it's probably because of the Venezuelan oil. Do you think that they were planning this Iran thing from back then, about oil prices, figuring it all out? This is interesting. There you go, D-Gin saying those wretched Republicans trying to rig the elections again.
That Arash's I think observations are right about
Hugh. You think they're planning it for sure?
Where the Iranian leadership directionally wants to go. Nobody wants to be seen as the sop, and I think that they can.
Yeah, if you put money on Strickland winning, that was wild. I was thinking it'd be close, but I heard a few people say Strickland has a chance if he survives the first and second rounds. But yeah, you might have made some money right there, buddy.
look at right now and see that they have leverage and see that Donald Trump wants to get out of this war. And so you can be hard-nosed and pragmatic and say, well, let's wait it out and see how much more we can get out of Trump. Because who the heck knows? Trump is known to give terrible deals. And I think that puts Trump in a very tough situation. And I think that explains in part why, he's calling up Bret Baier saying we're going to get a deal every 2 days. And, nothing is coming because the Iranians see that he wants that deal badly.
Yeah, I've got a piece of news from the president that bolsters that, but I'm going to put that aside for a moment. I'll bring it back to this conversation in just a second. I want to talk about one of the things that I think we can say for sure regarding this war, and that is the damage it's done to our perception overseas, not just our general perception. Reuters has some striking numbers about how the globe now sees us worse than they see
MSDNC.
Russia. But our allies specifically, Max, are they looking at us now and saying that there's already been questions from NATO about our reliability. Now the Gulf states have tangible evidence about our reliability.
I think the picture that we're painting for the world is that we are a very
BS Now network.
very bellicose nation that doesn't really know what it's doing and tends to blunder into conflicts and doesn't know how to get out. And I think, this week you saw the unease of even our Gulf allies with the Saudis and the Kuwaitis reportedly saying that
we got the best chat in the world. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, turn on those notifications. Going live every day of 2026. Become a member. Throw in a super chat if you want, so you can just laugh with us and enjoy and learn at the same time.
Would not grant the U.S. access to their airspace after the fiasco of Project Freedom, where Trump announced that he was going to send U.S. warships to try to open up the Strait of Hormooz, and then that led to a military confrontation with Iran. The Iranians hit the Emiratis, and Trump kind of backed off and said, whoops, never mind. And I think
One Love says, allegedly Iran has a portal with a military base built over it. Strange things have been reported. I have walked through. Don't judge me. Yeah, where does that portal lead to? Where does it lead to? That's wild. Chad USA is saying the media BS every day. There you go.
The Gulf states feel very exposed because thanks to Trump, they're on the front lines of a war.
Yeah, Jason Martin, look at them panicking now that we are considering pulling out troops from the nations. Yep.
That they didn't ask for, and they're very concerned that now Trump is going to exit the conflict and leave them at the mercy of Iran. And I think that's a serious danger. And of course, Trump is also, lighting on fire our European alliance because he's blaming NATO for not bailing him out of this war that he started. So, we're looking like a kind of a clueless, wounded hegemon coming out of this, and I don't think.
Is he looking for solutions over here? Like, what's going on? Is he like, okay, he did this, and so what's the solution? How's he helping the situation? Oh, I see.
Thank you for your support. I love you.
That's for One Love.
Wishing you and your family the best.
Jumping around. Oh my gosh. All right.
That's a good look where, Trump still with this war that was supposed to last 4 or 5 weeks now in its third month. And
I got a comment request, a read. I don't see it.
Trump still can't figure out how to end the war or how to break the Iranian chokehold over the Strait of Hormuz.
What about these numbers about our reputation on the world stage, David? What does it mean when perceptions of America drop so?
Come on, bro. That's awesome, dude. I'll try. No, yeah, I go, let's say, okay, no, I can't read it, bro.
Dramatically and also so quickly. Across 84 countries, the 84 countries that evaluated the U.S., 22 had a net positive perception, while 62 had a net negative perception. The average net perception of the U.S. is negative 16, ranking 128 out of 132 countries Russia, by the way, negative 11%. China, plus 7%. David, what does it mean when people, regular people, see the United States so poorly?
Is that the United States has a big problem. Our power in the world, our ability to have the extraordinary success we've had through my lifetime has been a product and part of the good friends and allies.
One Love can do it. He's got a decoder ring.
We've had. We built a global trading system that's made other people richer, but is also.
He's in a bar just typing drunk. He's like, oh, these politicians. Awesome.
Made us vastly richer. And it's been based on a confidence that the United States will maintain a degree of order in the world. It's a very corrupt world. The United States traditionally has had rule of law, the kind of rule of law that allows people to do business with confidence and safety. As that collapses, and those numbers make clear that it is collapsing, a lot of the kind of structure on which American
how did you even see it and then like make that idea of like, hey dude, just try to try to read it, bro. Oh my god, dude. I shouldn't be laughing. I'm not racist. I'm just so happy that you told me to read that thing, man. It probably means something too.
Power, security, economic prosperity rests, I think is becomes fragile. I don't mean to say we're on the verge of collapse, but those numbers should really scare people. Not because other countries don't like us, they've represented America for decades, but because this kind of negative feeling ends up eroding a source of our power in the world.
Yeah, soft power. Peter, is the president, I know, does not live in a reality where this sort of thing would matter to him. But I'm asking, are there people in the administration who are looking down the line and thinking about maybe their own time in the White House?
Is it a troll or is it a real comment? That's what I'm curious.
House if they get there, Marco Rubio, JD Vance, whoever else, and wondering how much damage they're going to have to try to repair.
Well, it's hard not to look at yesterday's visit to the Vatican by Secretary Rubio in contrast to the president's comments about the Pope and even Vice President Vance's comments about the Pope lately, right? Rubio did what American leaders traditionally do. You go and you meet with somebody who is a global leader like the Pope. You may not agree on everything. You may even allude to those disagreements, but you don't have an out-and-out, fight with the father of,
I'm not seeing any solutions here, man. I'm seeing some complaints. Did you guys see any solutions? I'm not seeing any solutions. Just complaints about like what you shouldn't have done. All right, well, what about like taking that theory of you did this wrong and you do this to fix it? Just curious. Magic Man says the dude on MSN or MS is a enemy simp. Yeah, oi, I don't know if those two go together too, bro. I don't know if he's allowed to do that if he is a true Muslim. PMS now never has solutions. It seems like they don't, bro. Or maybe it's just this video. Like I'm hearing complaints. I have no idea what's going on.
Father figure to one of the the world's largest and most historic religions.
Bryant T. Spross says the solutions are let the diplomats do their work. Yeah, get to work, diplomats. And the problem is there aren't any solutions from the White House. Well, you never know.
You try to find a way to smooth over those.
I think one thing to think about is the media and the left and the right. They always try to split people, but you got to stick together.
differences rather than to accentuate them. That's different, obviously, than you see from this White House. This is a White House that likes to accentuate differences. It likes to punch up and to make any fight bigger rather than smaller. So Rubio, I think, would be an example of what you're talking about. Somebody who's looking at the long term, thinking, okay, it's not necessarily in America's interest to be.
That's also what PMS means.
Be in a fight with everybody at all times. Let's try to see if we can't make some of these, go away, or if not go away, at least not so disruptive.
Oh, thank the Lord that thing's over, dude. Come on, dude. Goodness gracious. We got another one for you. NBC. Cory Booker calls Supreme Court profoundly hypocritical after voting. All right. Actually, I think this one would be better if we did this one, which is not as long.
One of the big headlines.
Yeah, dude. Fast forward. Fast forward.
This week, a recent U.S. Supreme Court ruling placed new limits on the Voting Rights Act, as you know, which has prompted states across the South to start redrawing their maps. Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito wrote in the majority opinion, I'm going to read some of what he said and get your reaction, quote, allowing race to play any part in government decision-making represents a departure from the constitutional rule that applies in almost every other context. Do you think race should be used as a factor to draw congressional lines?
So first of all, this court is profoundly hypocritical. They said you can use race in immigration stops. So this is not about race. This is about stripping political power from millions of people, and obviously this decision would result, and they knew this, in stripping political power and representation from African Americans. The voting
Stripping political power and then bringing the race card involved. All right, yeah. And he did not answer. There you go.
The Voting Rights Act was perhaps one of the most important acts in the history of our country in securing our democratic ideals. All are created equal. All are imbued with certain unalienable rights. And what they have done right now is sent us backwards in time, back to the 1870s and 80s, where the South and Southern legislators, through terrorism, intimidation, and worse, were able to stop African Americans from having representation in Congress. This is wrong. It's as wrong as Plessy versus Ferguson. It's as wrong as Korematsu. And I'm telling you right now, this will go down as history as one of the most wrong-headed decisions the Supreme Court has ever made, and effectively undercut our democracy.
Yeah, man, that's wild.
Now to the Middle East.
That's wild, dude. That's wild. Cory Booker, huh? Cory Booker. Just put this just to show you the difference between these two guys, man. We got the Trump and the Cory Booker.
One of the big
I don't know. I really don't know. What was the whole that about? It was mostly just how Republicans are bad and how they're racist and how it's going to go down in history as them being racist and bad. I don't know. Did you guys see any solutions? What did I miss over here? What's going on? No Name says, I don't believe either party should be drawing the lines. No, don't draw any line. Just do it fairly, right? Do it absolutely fairly. Does anyone know if he took money from Island Man? Magic Man. Oh, that's what it's about. Okay. Pete Kamuff says, the Dems always use race for every decision. The Dems don't think our country can evolve. Hugh says, here we go with slave hive mind. There you go, bro. I'll vote zero pay. Oh, man. Some of these people, man, some of these people. We're going live every day of 2026, so make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Become a member. Throw in a super chat. Helps the channel.
Oh my gosh, I will.
You guys know who this is? She might be a politician. She also might be a basketball player. Let's see what's going on over here.
Wait, you have the puppy? Come here! Hey, oh my god! Oh.
Look how much joy there is for puppies. Who doesn't like puppies? Oh my gosh. Love puppies. Yo, how you doing, Dre? Good to see you.
See, that sounds energetic. Okay. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I'm back. This was the energetic point.
Do you own any pets by any chance?
No, but I would
Puppy said nope.
gladly take one of these. I think this is my favorite one. He's chill, he's licking me, or she. Ouch! Why would you bite me? That hurt. Aww. Or maybe this one. Look at this one. Sit. No.
Claire says, I don't see DEI in basketball leagues. Wonder why. There you go.
Sit. Okay. Yes. Ow! Dang! Are they teasing? This is.
She's so cute, and she's just having so much fun with the puppies. That's so cool, man. That's so cool. Everybody loves puppies. This is a really cool thing about teammates. So Sean Strickland was training with Alex Pahea, and it was a close fight. Sean Strickland didn't win 100%. It was a really close fight. And there you go. All right, Hugh. See you soon, buddy. They all said nope. Yeah, have a good day, buddy. Area 51 says, I don't think Strickland won, even though he wanted Strickland to win. Here's Alex Pahea's reaction.
We go to the judges for partial decision. Decision scores it 48-47 from Ohio. Southern Development scores it 48-47 Strickland. And Eric Rose for the contest 48-47 for the winner by split decision. And
I think, have you seen anyone that hyped? Like when he won, everyone was so hyped for him, man. So hyped. I'm so hyped.
Well, Sean, two-time middleweight champion. You knew you would be the one to be able to defeat Khamzat Chimaev. Where does this win rank in terms of other wins you have accomplished in your career?
All wins, all wins to me, like, are for the belt. Anytime I win, it's for the belt. I treat all fights the same, And I always say, man, like, for every time you win, someone loses, and, like, I've been on the receiving end of a loss.
There you go. Fluff Daddy says, in the NBA, they only put the white guy in a fourth quarter blowout. Yeah, dude, his nose was messed up, dude. Very messed up.
Us and Chimaev has to go back and know that my white trash ass beat him, and he has to kind of deal with that. So, like,
Do you think he almost got choked out? I don't know, man. He seemed to be grabbing his wrist, so he couldn't really get under his neck. And everyone's saying that Strickland, I haven't met Strickland in person, but everyone's saying he's super strong, not fast, strong.
I just must move forward. Yeah.
You were very confident heading into this one, the wrestling background that you have been able to form at Extreme Couture. I know you have someone in your corner, Johnny, that you have leaned on a lot and worked with. How much did you guys train for Khamzat, obviously, in the gym and prepared you for tonight?
Let me tell you guys, I'm never confident. I've never had a fight I thought I was going to win. I didn't think I was going to win against Chimaev, but I just go in there and fight and make it happen always. But I did have such a great camp. Johnny's amazing. Eric, Jason Manley, he's the one black guy in my corner. He's my shield, but he's also one of the best grappling coaches I've ever trained with. So I just got so many good guys helping me.
You said earlier this week that you don't break, you'll make Chimaev break, and he will crumble.
It's so funny, like Sean Strickland, he's making so many jokes. Like he's like, oh yeah, I'm a racist guy and this and that. And then he has like a African American guy in his corner, and he's got like people from different cultures in his corner, and which is kind of cool about like the First Amendment, and like people can just joke and have fun and say that stuff, but some people can't really take a joke. So I guess whenever you're a public figure like him, you gotta kind of be careful with what type of jokes you make. Yeah, and at the very end they tapped gloves and they showed respect. That was really cool. I gained more respect for both of these fighters actually at the end of the fight.
Was there a point in the fight?
I don't think he broke.
He
pulled. Garmick jumping on the chat saying racism is supposed to be a joke. 100%, bro. Just have some fun with your life.
Pulled guard for sure. He definitely pulled guard, but yeah, I don't know if he broke. I think he would have died there.
After that first round, when you guys were on the mats for most of the first round, what was the biggest adjustment you made?
I just knew that, holding him back is a pain in the ass, especially me, I was providing enough resistance to make him work harder than me, and I just gave it up. I knew I'd give up the first.
There you go, Magic Man jumping in on the chat saying, it's because of Trump that you can make jokes now. The Dems are so sensitive.
Round, but, at this level, you guys, we don't break. Once you hit top 10, top 5, breaking isn't a thing. You go in there and you die in the middle. That's how this works at this level of sport.
You said on the post show that, you've been in camp for basically 6 months now. Yeah. So what does life look like for you over the next couple weeks?
Thank you, One Love. W's in the chat for One Love, dude. Thank you. Appreciate it. Keeping the channel alive, dropping those super chats. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, become a member, throw in a super chat. Be like One Love.
Weeks, a little vacation maybe. How are you guys going to kind of celebrate this win?
Thank you so much, buddy. Have an amazing day.
I think I need to get my lip stitched, but I'm feeling like I got a big hole in my lip. No, my girl deserves a vacation. 6 months at camp, you guys. We don't go out and have fun. We don't go to dinner. We don't travel. So she's kind of been my rock. Where when I come back, she's making my dinner. She does my laundry. She does everything for me. So I'm gonna give a little breather, take her on some vacation, and then get back to it.
Anywhere specific on vacation?
No, wherever she wants. Dealer's choice.
Hey.
You know what? Usually Sean Strickland, people say whenever they spar against Sean Strickland, he's so hard to hit. But Chimaev got so much better at boxing. Chimaev's fist is what did that to Sean's nose, mostly probably some elbows too on the floor, and it was a pretty big fight. Sean thinks his nose is broken.
If that's the way to live, anywhere she wants to go. Well, Sean, congratulations. We can't wait to see you back. Enjoy the vacation.
There you go, man. He just lost in court. What did he lose in court? Yeah. Enlarged septum holder. Yeah, bro, we got septums, septum emojis over here too for the Dems if they want it. So this is a little weird from a day ago. Some people are not happy about this. Islamists are mass slaughtering civilians in the Congo. Where is the outrage? Pretty wild and unfortunate. Man, we gotta find peace. We gotta figure out some way to find peace, honestly. That's the most important thing.
As this bird returns to its nest,
and just enjoy times like these. You know, skiing with a loved, or ice skating with a loved one on a frozen lake in Canada. Would you guys ever do that? There you go. Pay attention, women. He said she does it all and he earns the check. Yeah, dude, that's way too dangerous, dude. Like falling in that water and being that far away, and trying to get out of water when it's that cold, slippery. There you go. Garmick would do it if he could skate without falling on his face. Yeah, if the wind is too thick, you can't even see where you're going. Yeah, man, that's wild, dude. So wild. Fun, but... Oh, she's not even like skating. She's just getting pushed by the wind. Oh, that's so wild. I thought she was like... She's being like a sail from a sailboat, just getting pushed by the wind. Oh, let's end this poll. That's right, that's right. What a poll this was, man. 856 votes, 74% say no, they do not support double B. Man. All right, y'all. I love you. We're going live every day of 2026. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications, become a member, throw in a super chat, and yeah, we will see you next time. Benjamin N. Netanyahu. Do we need to add another one for you? Good day, everyone from Malaysia. Good. Awesome. Thank you, guys. You too. You guys are the best. And we will see you next time. Karen Bass to skip next mayoral debate. Oh yeah, if you guys want any videos for me to review, just add them to my Discord. And I will add it on the next video. All right, y'all. I love you. Lord loves you. Take care of yourself.